Welcome to the Friends of Fantasy Benefits Baseball Podcast. I am Justin Mason, lead fantasy writer and analyst of friendsoffantasybenefits.com. Joining me on this episode is Dave McDonald. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, that's me. Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. It was a quiet day.
You were very active on Twitter today.
You know, my wife's been telling me to get more active on Twitter.
Okay. So this is a planned activity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I actually had, like, aside from all the silly stuff that happened this morning, I had my most viral tweet ever. Happened last night and all throughout today, and nobody paid attention to it in the industry because of all the other bullshit that was going on. But I made a joke about Russell Wilson signing before Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery, and it had, like, I don't know, like 3,000 likes or something like that, and crap ton of retweets, which I thought was pretty cool. Was a good tweet.
Wow. So your most viral tweet wasn't even about baseball, really. I mean, it was kind of more
about baseball. It's technically about Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery.
I mean, I guess you needed to combine the two. People need the football and the baseball side, so you get a little bit of both. So
yeah, no, it was it was an interesting day on Twitter for sure. We already have comments. I'm here for live stream draft where I plan to get an edge on the upcoming NFBC leagues. Yep. No live stream draft today. I will have a live stream draft. I will have a bunch of live stream drafts the last week of the season. So feel free. I promise for those who get upset about it, I will not have names on my boards. Except for maybe the last one, because it's the last draft of the year, and at that point, who the fuck cares, right? So, yeah, if you like those live stream drafts, probably not going to have one for about another week and a half or so, but we'll have, like, I think 3 or 4 in a row, because I'll have a main event, I'll have 2 $1,500 auctions, and I think another $150 auction too. So 4 in the last week of the season.
So I know that you are a draft board guy. Like, I know that you hunt those out and you like looking at those. I'm going to tell you, like, straight up, I have never cared about draft boards. I don't care if people have mine. I don't look at other people's. I mean, it's not like I don't look at them like I do, but I don't, like, memorize them and write them down or anything like that. I feel like good drafters, you can't be focused in on, like, singular players. You need to be able to adjust. If someone you like gets taken, you should have other players that you can take and be okay with too. And I don't know, like, I can barely keep track of my own thoughts to keep track of, like, someone else or multiple someone else's in my leagues, like, who's they're interested in. It's too much, man. I don't have the bandwidth for that shit.
So for me, I used to be the guy that collected all those draft boards. I stopped doing that last year, and then I had a really good year. So I don't know if that's, causation or correlation or not. I have not been, like, gathering draft boards. I mean, obviously the main events just started. I think yesterday was the first one.
Yeah.
So, like, who knows, if I decide to grab more. I'm doing more auctions this year than I'm doing anything else, and I don't think having people's draft boards in an auction really helps at all. So for me, like, I don't really care about the draft boards as much as other people do. I also don't care, like, clearly, because that's all the kerfuffle was about earlier. Like, I don't care that other people see my draft boards or see people in my league's draft board. I understand it's a touchy subject to other people. I still don't really care, but I also don't want to deal with the backlash. Not necessarily I don't want to deal with the drama that happened today. So, if you're listening to this later, you can go check it out on Twitter. I haven't deleted any of my tweets, so I'm not going to.
I will say I'm with you on this. Like, all these people who are complaining about it being public, they're also discussing it with their friends behind people's backs, so in private. And it's like, okay, you can't talk about something being unfair and then still doing that. Then that you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth like that. Not something I even care about, but I disagree with that take from our buddy Zach. But Joe Lowry says Dave, what if I'm a bad drafter? I need all the help I can get. If you're a bad drafter, I don't suggest you play for thousands of dollars. Become a little bit better, and then start small, build your bankroll up, and then come play when you feel more ready. You shouldn't, because you can't just have success by drafting like someone else, because there's so much that depends on in-season management. You have to have a plan. You have to have that roster construction. You have to know how to build a team properly, because that matters a lot, as we've come to see in recent years.
Yeah, for me, like, one of the things I like seeing about draft boards isn't so much like, oh, this person likes this guy in the 23rd round. It's more a matter of like, hey, how did you put your team together? Is that something that I like? Is that something that I dislike? But like, in terms of like individual players, I mean, outside of like, let's say like you were in my league, in my main event league, and I saw one of your draft boards, like I might like look at the back half of your draft and go, are any of the guys that you think are sleepers that you like the same guys that I do? Because then maybe I might go, okay, I might need to jump on him a little bit earlier than I would. But other than that, like, I really don't care. I'm like, I can build my teams in so many different ways, and I do. Like, I mean, I'm already 10 drafts deep, and I only have 2 players that I've rostered in 50% of leagues or more. So, like, considering how many drafts I'm already in, like, I'm not loading up on all the same guys. This isn't like there's no, there's really no Cedric Mullins this year or no TJ Friedel guy for me this year where I'm going like, this guy is in 90% of my teams, right?
Yeah.
I've not located that one guy. And to be quite honest, like, everybody knows who I like. Like, everybody knows I like Dalton Varsho. Everybody knows I like Bailey Ober. Everybody knows I like Zach Eflin. Like, okay, I thought, yeah, if you're in my draft, you're going to probably push me on that. But, like, I'll still get the guys I want. And if you go get them earlier, then good on you. Like, whatever.
Yeah, so I'm reminded of last year when I was in love with Hayden Wisniewski, and I knew that other people in my draft were really into him, and I pushed him way up the board. And look what that did. Like, the thing is, you get so singular minded that like, I have to have this player, that you push them up too far. And you shouldn't really feel that way about many people, if any. You should say, okay, this is the area that I'm interested in them in, and if they're gone, then I can take other guys here. So I don't know. I'm just not trying to worry about who's into who. I'm thinking, I know I can draft well enough that if the guys that I'm interested in aren't there, I can go a different direction and be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that's enough of that talk, which wasn't even on the rundown. It just came up. Let's talk some news. We're gonna talk a bunch of news. Try to get through that somewhat quickly, and then we will talk about our fades. We're gonna kind of go round by round. We're using the Rotowire Online Championship ADP, and we're going to kind of pick a guy we're fading in each round and kind of discuss that. But let's start with the big news of the day, which is Gerrit Cole has got an elbow issue. He's going to get an MRI. I'm assuming, considering your risk tolerance and my risk tolerance, that he's off of both of our boards for the most part at this point, right?
Yeah, except for the Yahoo league that I just drafted him in like 5 days ago. Yeah.
He's elbow, on one of my DC teams. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, elbow is very, very bad. Nothing more to say about that, really. It's not going to be good. And straight up, do not draft players going into the season, pitchers specifically, going into the season injured with an arm injury or shoulder injury. Very, very often, those are just the worst investments you can make. Like, you might hear, oh, they'll be back by mid-May or something. It's always overly optimistic timelines. They can have setbacks. Then when they come back, you're likely skipping. Their first 2-3 starts are usually bad. And then, like, trying to figure out how long after that before you finally start them. They may never be 100% the rest of the year. So you just make sure you're not thinking of these players as their normal selves. Like, oh, well, he'll be back in mid-March and he'll be 100% and he'll be, Gerrit Cole. No. He's going to be a much lesser version of himself if he ever even gets back to that at any point during the year. So just do yourself a favor, especially in leagues where you need those bench slots, and just stay away.
Yeah. What do you think? I'm not saying would you do this or asking if you would do this, but do you think this makes Spencer Strider the number one pick in like NFBC main events?
Ooh. I think I'll say this. I do think he's going to go number one in some leagues now. I think because of some of these injuries, and Cole's not the only major pitcher to get injured either. But also, with the slight risk with Acuna now with his knees. And I'll say this. I still think I would take Acuna number one. Despite that risk, and I know that sounds somewhat hypocritical, but I don't think it doesn't seem to me like it's going to be something that's going to hold him back.
He's already playing in simulated games. Like he's
so young. Like if he were in his 30s, I would have a lot more. I would be a lot more worried. He's 26, so I feel like because even Snicker came out and said he's still going to be running a lot. Like and it might end up being a bad pick. I'm not sure, but I'm still like Acuna is so much better than every other hitter that it's worth that risk for me. But after that, yeah, like you can make the argument for Strider at 2, 3, 4. I have Witt right now as my number 2 overall player, and then probably Strider 3, J-Rod 4. But Strider's going to go top 3 in a lot of drafts, I think.
All right, so I guess a KDS strategy question: do you want a top 1 or 2 pick, or would you like? For me, like I had been setting my KDS as 1, and then like 7, 8, 9 in that area because I feel like I felt like Acuna was number 1, and then I felt like there was probably 7 or 8 guys that like could be number 2, right? So like, why not just take the last of that group and have an earlier pick in the second round? What are you looking at to do with your KDS?
There's so much to unpack there because like I agree with you, but I don't. So like the top 9 is pretty good. I don't. This is a better year than most years that I've seen in terms of the back end of the draft, back end of the first. Like even with Cole out, in other years, I was like praying for like J-Ram to fall to me at like 13 or something, and he was and he wouldn't. Now J-Ram's going at like 17, pick 17. He might move up now after Cole to like 16, but like it's definitely not a horrible year to have a late first. I still don't want it though. I love the middle.
I think the problem with the late first is what comes back to you in the 3-4. Like that to me is I prefer to have kind of that middle because I like what still gets back to me in the I love what gets back to me in the second, and I like what still gets back to me in the third.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm right with you. I do see a big drop off after Freddie Freeman's off the board. I'm not drafting Corbin Carroll, but I assume someone will. But Soto, I think he's going to be good. But I'm not taking him as my first round pick. I don't think. Judge, I'm off. I'm not really excited about Trey Turner. Obviously, Cole's out now. A lot of risk with Jordan, but I mean, not a lot, but some. I'm okay with him as a late pick, but I'd much prefer to get one of those top 8 guys for me, minus Carroll. But honestly, with Mookie Betts' move to shortstop, I know that sounds like a good thing, and it could be. I'm worried though because guys get hurt a lot more often playing shortstop, and he hasn't played shortstop very much. I don't even know when was the last time he played shortstop.
I think he played some 2 years ago.
Okay, he played.
Like,
some,
I don't think it.
Like,
regularly. I think it's
regularly. Yeah. So I don't know. Like it sounds like a good thing, but it's one of those things where I could see that going wrong. I go back and forth on like I agree with you. For me, it's still Acuna, and I think Strider my 1A 1B, and then like the next guy I think is Witt for me. But then after I get past 3, it's kind of like I can make an argument for a lot of those guys. I mean, we saw what Tatis did in less than a full season. I think he's over. Yeah, like Tucker has no injury risk, attached to him, and he should hit higher. He should hit in a better lineup slot without Dusty there to hold him back anymore.
J-Rod, J-Rod's got no health risk. So like
Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman, I think,
Yep.
probably should be a top 5 pick this year, and he's not going there.
Yep.
So like I think there's a lot of reasons to, like, for me at least, like I can tell you my KDS is gonna be like 8, 7, 6, 9, something like that.
I love that middle. I love it
Yeah.
so much this year. It's a great place to be, and I love what comes back to you in the second round and even in the
Yep.
third round. So yeah, it's a good question. I'll be honest with you, I haven't completely figured that out yet because I've only done one NFBC draft, and it was Glarf, and that was in early February. So right now I'm just doing my Yahoos and Fantrax, and then when I go to Vegas, I'll do my NFBC draft. So yeah, I haven't figured out where I want to draft yet. I know I love the middle. I don't know how other than one, or if I even want one over the middle. So I haven't figured that out.
All right. Let's move on to the next item. Lucas Giolito, elbow surgery. This is a bummer. I felt like Giolito was actually a pretty decent value. I had gotten him in my labor draft or my labor auction, and I had gotten him in my barf draft. At least he's a quick, easy drop. But yeah, anything to add?
What was that?
I said, do you have anything to add on Giolito?
Oh, sorry, you froze for a second there on my end. Yeah, I have I had Giolito in a league that I drafted, but obviously now he's pretty much done. So
All right. Gavin Williams got some elbow issues. What is your worries on that one?
I mean, obviously, Tommy John is the big worry. As a Guardians fan, I hate it. I was not really planning on having any Gavin Williams this year, so I still won't have any fantasy-wise. But as a Guardians fan, it sucks because this. Anytime you hear elbow, it could definitely be bad.
Yeah. I'm proud. I wasn't drafting Gavin Williams to begin with. Definitely not going to be drafting him now. Yeah, just kind of taking him off my board. Even though, like I said, he wasn't a target for me. I didn't love the command and control, but definitely don't like it now. So,
right.
We got War Dog in the chat tonight.
War Dog's here. All right,
he's here for the draft boards. And Govier in the chat tonight.
Govier, that's the first.
There we go. We got someone talking about the Packers. Apparently, Packers killed it. NFL free agency day. I don't really care.
I don't know what did the Packers even do. I don't even know.
I think they signed Josh Jacobs. That's what I heard.
Okay.
Don't they have like a 17 million running backs? Like,
I mean, they have Aaron Jones. That's an odd.
And it was, I think maybe AJ Dillon's a free agent. Maybe that's
okay.
So.
Okay.
Speaking of guys.
Okay.
Oh, they cut Aaron Judge. Okay.
That's what Govier just said. Yeah.
Yeah. It's too early. It's too early for me to care about football.
Yep.
I'll start paying attention to football at the NFL draft. So, and my Commanders actually have a high pick, so that's kind of nice.
There you go.
Speaking of guys, I'm not going to draft. I wasn't going to draft to begin with, anyways. But Edward Cabrera's got shoulder issues, going to get an MRI. No touch, right?
I mean, to be fair, I was really into Edward Cabrera before that because the one thing with him is he really limits hard contact. He's got great stuff. The control was always an issue. He finally looked like he was harnessing his control, and then all of a sudden, shoulder injury, and he's getting an MRI. So yeah, I'm off of him now, unfortunately. But I was optimistic about him for once.
Yeah, I wasn't. So like for me, like this is another guy I was already fading. Can the guys I was already fading not get?
Nope, that's
hurt?
not the way it works. It's always the guys that you were already fading that get hurt.
Yeah, it sucks. So I wasn't fading Kevin Gausman, but I also wasn't getting him in a lot of drafts. I just have him a little bit lower than a lot of other guys in that kind of second, elite tier. But definitely don't love shoulder issues early on in spring. How is Gausman coming off your board?
Yeah, I tweeted about this a couple of days ago. So, I mean, we're working with kind of limited information here. So, shoulder fatigue can mean a lot of things, but the last couple of times we heard shoulder fatigue were about Castillo and Wheeler in the spring of 2022. Castillo ended up missing the first 5 weeks of the season. He wasn't good in his first 2 starts back, so he wasn't really usable until late May in 2022. Wheeler missed his first 2 starts, then came back and had 3 unproductive to horrific starts. So he wasn't usable until May. And we don't know when the shoulder soreness started for Castillo, but with Wheeler, he said it popped up in December. So basically it took him about 5 months to get right. So we have no idea when this was an issue for Gausman. So my concern is that it could be several months before he's right, if he is ever right, or he could be fine to start the year. But either way, I'm not taking that risk at that point in the draft.
Yeah, I'm not either. So, I mean, like I said, Gausman was a guy like I wasn't ending up with. He was, still fairly high in my ranks, but I just wasn't high enough for me to end up with him. I was always going after Luis Castillo or Pablo Lopez or guys like that. So it's not a big loss for me, but it's just a bummer. I love Kevin Gausman, and I hope he's okay, but I'm just not going to end up on any of my teams, considering this issue. Next guy on the docket, if I can get
Lodolo.
to the thing, is Lodolo. He finally pitches after missing 10 months.
Yeah.
And pitches really, really well. It was interesting. I was in this auction last night, and all of a sudden someone throws out Nick Lodolo, and I hadn't seen that he was going to pitch or that he had pitched. And all of a sudden there's a bidding war. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why are people like going crazy over Nick Lodolo? I'd missed it. My kids have been sick, and so like I just completely missed that he was pitching. Looked great. I don't really care because he still pitches in Cincinnati, but he's probably going to be pretty affordable considering how low his ADP had been, even if it jumps up quite a bit. Are you in on Nick Lodolo?
So the upside is that it's not an arm injury, so it doesn't concern me as much, but we have seen some serious leg injuries, and it was, I believe, a fracture, right? His tibia fractured.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, 10 months is just, and he missed so much more time than they thought he was going to. Like the fact that this was even still an issue come, December, January, it concerns me. I definitely wouldn't put him down for a lot of innings, but I love the skills. So I would say he's not a guy I'm necessarily like full fading, but it would have to be the right price. He's going like 268 right now in OCs. I have to imagine that's moving way up now. I don't know how far up, but if he gets up into the top 200, I think he's going to be that'll be a tough pill to swallow at that point. So
let me give you some quick would you rathers with Nick Lodolo.
All right.
Would you rather Nick Lodolo or Aaron Savali?
Oh man. I mean, Savali
going pick 202.
Yeah, Savali can't stay healthy either, but I like his environment, his pitching environment a lot more than Lodolo's. I think it depends on the team. If I need like a potential strikeout guy more, I would take Lodolo. I think if I need someone solid, I would take Savali.
All right. I'm gonna go Savali, even though I'm not a Savali guy. Nick Lodolo or Yu Darvish.
I think I'd take Yu Darvish there. I'm not drafting Yu Darvish, but I gotta take him over Lodolo.
I'm the same. I'm not drafting Yu Darvish, but I'm taking Lodolo. Let me go a little bit lower then. What about Brian Bayo?
I'm taking Bayo. I like Bayo.
I drafted Bayo last night, so
okay.
I'm taking Bayo as well.
Brady Singer said Govia said Brady Singer. I'm definitely taking Lodolo over Brady Singer.
yeah, Brady's. Man, that was such a bad call by me last year. Everybody told me I was wrong on that one, and I was like, nope, I believe in Brady Singer. And God,
all right, I got one
Michael
along those lines. Ken Waldichuk or Lodolo?
I'll take Lodolo there. But all right. Jameson Taillon's got a back issue. Dude just can't stay healthy.
He really can't.
He was a guy I drafted in some early DCs because I liked some of the changes he made in the second half. But like I said, I'm not putting injury risk on my team, especially with pitchers. So I'm not drafting Taillon.
Not really, no.
A guy I would be willing to draft because the price is coming down is Sonny Gray, though. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. He probably will miss his first start, but could be back for his second start. Any interest in Sonny Gray?
I need more information. It's a hamstring, so again, it's not an arm injury, so I'm not as concerned. But hamstrings can be tricky. It is for a pitcher though instead of a hitter. So I feel like if I can get a discount on him, I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm totally fine taking the gamble there. Especially because like a lot of your guys are not going to be able to pitch in the first week of the season anyways, because the first weekend is spread out. There's going to be lots of rain out. So like, I'm okay actually taking a gamble on Sonny Gray being ready for a second start at the back half of that like first full week. And if not, then like maybe I keep a couple extra relievers on my team and kind of roll with them or something like that. So
yep.
I don't have a problem with Sonny Gray. Braxton Garrett's going to start the year on the IL because of his shoulder. I like Braxton Garrett a lot, but this is concerning to me.
Yeah, I like him too, but he's a full fade at this point.
Yeah, I got him in a lot of early DCs, but I got to lower my projection on him because I don't like it. In the auction last night, he came up and I was like, oh, I love Braxton Garrett, but I can't put him on my team. And if I can't put him on my team, then I probably got to lower the projection on him. So that'll be something I do here over the course of the next couple days. Sheehan is starting the year on the IL with a shoulder injury. That's Emmett Sheehan of the Dodgers. I wasn't an Emmett Sheehan guy necessarily to begin with, but this makes him a full fade.
Yeah, he had an opportunity with all the other guys on the IL, but now that opportunity is pretty much gone, and Gavin Stone is pitching lights out this spring. So, and obviously he's starting on the IL, so I don't know if he's even going to be getting an opportunity when he gets off the IL. So yeah, there's just too much uncertainty there.
Yeah. Devin Williams has got a back issue. He's getting a second opinion from a spine specialist. This sounds pretty serious. He only went for $10 in my auction last night because everybody's so scared. And I got fucking sniped in the reserves on Joel Payamps, which was a little bit of a bummer. Are you full fade on Devin Williams now? And who do you think the next man up is? Is it Payamps?
Yeah, again, it's a back injury, but so that wouldn't typically scare me off someone necessarily. But the fact that I heard second opinion means he did not like the first opinion, meaning it's probably pretty bad. Back injuries can be, a lot of them are just like you require maintenance, but this sounds like something that's probably going to require more than that, where he's probably going to start the year on the IL. I didn't know, honestly. I haven't gotten that far into my research yet. I don't know who the next man up is. I was talking to some other people about it. I've heard Payamps. I've heard Abner Abreu. I've heard Trevor McGill, which would kind of surprise me because I think he's in his 30s and he's never really been a closer before. I feel like it's probably still Payamps. I know he's having a bad spring, but he did last year as well, and that didn't seem to matter. So he would be the guy that I would probably go for first.
Yeah, I think it's Payamps. I guess it could be. I don't think it would be Abner Uribe. Only because
Uribe, not Abreu. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, just because he's 23 and the Brewers don't like to give guys who are going into arbitration fucking safes.
Right.
So I think it's either Payamps or McGill for me. But McGill had 0 saves last year. Payamps, I think, had 3. So I think that just gives you kind of a better idea of who would be the next guy up. Man, yeah, I'm staying away. Full fade on Devin Williams now. Because when he's looking for second opinions and he's going to see a spine specialist, that doesn't sound good to me at all. So.
Yeah, nobody goes to a specialist because they're fine. So
yeah, not usually. It's pretty rare that people are going to specialists. So
right.
All right. David Bednar has got some lat tightness. Any worry there?
Yeah, this is something where I feel like, some people disagree with me on this, but I think that they gave Aroldis Chapman closer type money, and it didn't make sense at the time. And then when this came out, I was like, oh, maybe they knew that Bednar was not okay or potentially not okay. I get that they can still trade Chapman, but if Bednar was going to be the closer, Chapman could not have accumulated the type of value that they would want to deal him at the trade deadline as a non-closer. Like, it sounds stupid and it shouldn't be a thing, but being a closer, you are more valuable. So I absolutely think that the Pirates knew about that, and that's why they signed Chapman.
Yeah, I guess it could make sense. I'm not overly worried about it yet, but it's definitely not something you want to see. And Bednar's guys ended up on a few of my teams already, so definitely pivoting away from that right now. it feels like we went from like the best year in terms of like closer clarity to already feeling pretty unsure about the close. But this is also why I pay for my closers. Like I'll pay for Edwin Diaz, I'll pay for Josh Hader, I'll pay for the guy Clase, I'll pay for the guys who I think are pretty stable in their roles, and I'm getting the hell away from the guys that I'm scared about. So the whole don't pay for saves thing. Like
can go both ways though, right? I mean, like if you had drafted Devin Williams, you're not feeling great about that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Then we got Kenley Jansen. He's finally throwing. I think Jansen's one of those guys that like I'm not that worried about. And I think if you got him at a discount, I got him a huge discount in Barf in like let's say like the 13th round or something like that, 13th, 14th round. Like got to feel pretty good that he's finally throwing. Where are you at on Kenley?
Okay, so if you got him around pick 200, I think I'd be okay with it. But I'm out where he's going. He's going like 155 right now. He just feels like a guy who, I mean, yes, he's that guy who has the experience and everything, and he always keeps finding jobs. I'm concerned though. Like the lad injury is just the latest thing. He's older. There's just always something with him that I never feel good about him as one of my closers. So honestly, I don't see myself owning any Kenley this year unless he falls. Like if he falls like he did in Barf around pick 200, I'd probably be okay with it.
Correction, I got him pick 11, so not as big of a discount. So 51, 57 is where I got him.
That's where he's going. That's literally where he's going right now. Yeah, it's too early for me.
I'm fine with it. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not super worried about it. And if he gets traded, he's getting traded to a situation where he's the closer. So I don't have very many worries about Kenley at this point. Maybe I'll regret that, but also I picked up Chris Martin in that league as well, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, so you're not worried about Chris Martin.
But Chris Martin's hurt as well, so that's a problem. That could be a problem. All right, Yuki Matsui, he's got a back issue. I know a lot of people thought he was going to be the closer. Probably he's not going to be the closer for the opening series, at least. Where are you at on Matsui, and do you think that Suarez is going to solidify himself as the dude?
It depends on which Suarez we see. If we see the Suarez from last year who couldn't strike anybody out, then I think the door is wide open for Yuki. I think a couple of years ago when they got Suarez and when they signed him, I think they had every intention of making him the closer of the future. And then last year happened. He was blowing saves. He was not striking guys out. And then I think they went out and got Yuki Matsui to give themselves another, who, by the way, Yuki was a, big-time closer in Japan. I think they absolutely felt like he was their guy. But now with the back injury and missing the opening series, it's definitely sounding like Suarez is going to get the first shot. But I'm not really looking to draft Suarez unless I'm getting him at a massive discount, because I could easily see Yuki taking over or at least getting part of that job at some point. If Yuki goes pretty late now, like round 24 or later, I can see myself taking a shot on him and just holding him for a couple of weeks to see if he looks like he's going to take over that job or not, and just putting him in when I need just to get ratio pitchers. So I'm interested more now because he's probably going to be going late.
Well, Yuki is going in round 23 of 12 teamers. So pick 273 right now. So I don't think that's that late, considering Robert Suarez is going about 4 rounds earlier, and he's probably got the job at least to start. So
yeah,
I got Suarez as my third closer in my auction yesterday. Felt pretty good about it. So,
okay.
All right, let's move on to the next piece of news. Nate Lowe is got an oblique injury. He's going to miss opening day. It seems like Josh Young also he's got a still calf issue. He's going to miss opening day.
Yeah.
Rangers are kind of beat the fuck up right now. Can Wyatt Langford play the infield?
Yeah, really. It's going to be interesting. I forget, who do they say that was going to get more playing time as a result of this?
I would assume Ezekiel Duran.
Yeah, Duran should play. I love Duran. Like, Duran would definitely be a late round target for me. Foscue too. I think they have him possibly
Oh,
playing first base.
Foscue could be really, really interesting. I mean,
I think Foscue could play some first base until Lowe gets back. So Lowe has an oblique, so you can probably count him out for about a month and a half. So, yeah, I was already
he's been dealing with it for about 2 weeks. So my guess is
maybe a month.
He'd only miss probably around a month from now. So only miss about 2 to 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, maybe 2 weeks in the season. Either way though, I mean that's not a reason to fade Lowe. Like if you can get him like ridiculously late, that's fine. But I was kind of off Lowe. He looked pretty bad down the stretch, and they hit him pretty low in that lineup. I don't know. I'm just not really feeling Nate Lowe this year overall.
I think the problem is there's so many first basemen you can get late, right? Like I even said this in my auction yesterday because in my auction I ended up with I'm looking at my draft sheet. I ended up with Torkelson and Goldschmidt. But by the end of the draft, like Rizzo's going for $3 or $4, and Jose Abreu's going for $2, and other guys are going, Reese Hoskins going for $5. I'm like, I could have saved a shit ton of money and just gone with these guys at first base. Like, as much as I love a lot of first basemen that are going early and going in the middle rounds of the draft, like, there's a lot of reason to just say, screw it. Like, why would I draft Nate Lowe when I can get Rizzo a few rounds later? And I think Rizzo's about to have a monster rebound.
Well, according to the March ADP for OCs, which I thought you were going by, Lowe goes at the same time as Andrew Vaughn and Rizzo. They go like a couple percent. But yeah, I would much rather have both of them over Lowe. I'd rather have Brandon Drury over Lowe. And honestly, like a guy like Ty France is a great shot to take. See if Driveline can do for him what it did for JP Crawford. I mean, because you got a guy with an elite contact profile who should have more natural power. I don't see much reason to take Lowe there.
Josh Bell's, I mean, like, I know he's nothing special, but like
he's so uneven. I just never know what to expect from Josh Bell.
I know, but he's still gonna bat in the middle of that Miami lineup. Like he's gonna play every day. So like maybe he has one more of those breakout seasons left in him. He's still in his 20s. So all right.
Tyler
O'Neill is injured. Are you shocked?
So shocked, yeah. I mean, he's really turning into Byron Buxton. I mean, it's sad. He's so talented. Like you know that there's a big season at some maybe if he's Buxton, maybe not, but it feels like there should be a big season coming at some point. But man, that dude just cannot stay healthy. I mean, he's going to like pick 202. I think I might need even a further discount than that. I love the skill set. It's you like taking those late shots, but I just have no confidence the guy can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he's going, like I said, 18th round of 12 teamers, but like there's like a bunch of outfielders that go around that spot,
right?
That I like. I like Jared Kelenic. I like Dalton Varsho. I like Stephen Kwan. I like Taylor Ward. I like Kerry Carpenter. And I'm pretty sure all those guys are going to stay on the field, at least health-wise. Maybe not skills-wise for Kelenic if he struggles again.
Right.
But like Varsho's going to play every day. Stephen Kwan's definitely going to play every day.
Right.
Taylor Ward, if he can stay healthy, he's going to play every day. Like Kerry Carpenter's going to play
versus righties. He'll
versus righties. Yeah. So like, someone's asking who we compare it to Bucks, and it's Tyler O'Neill is who we're talking about right now.
Oh yeah,
I love Tyler O'Neill from a straight skills perspective.
Yeah,
and like, but like you just, dude, the number one skill Tyler O'Neill doesn't have is health, and that's a freaking problem. Like, and I mean, maybe this calf injury turns out to be nothing, and he's fine, but like, he's one of those guys that like he reminds me a lot of Yandy Diaz, right? Because they're both like physically massive guys, but anybody who's ever done like serious weightlifting knows guys in the gym that walk around and they can't extend their arms fully. And like, I think some people are like, oh, they're just flexing. No, they literally can't extend their arms fully because they've contracted the muscles so much that they're inflexible. And like those kind of guys get banged up a lot, right? Because they don't have a lot of flexibility. It's why the Yankees have been making Aaron Judge do yoga and Pilates and stuff and stretching, because like he's so inflexible, because he's so muscular. These guys tend to have bad bodies in terms of playing baseball.
You know who the first person I ever knew of who fit that profile was? This is a guy who I think was a rookie in the late 90s. He's now a manager.
Oh,
he was always like, every time I saw his baseball card, he was the most jacked player you ever saw. It was Gabe Kapler.
Oh, I was about to say, is he currently manager? Because I think I know who you're talking about, but he's not a manager right now. But yeah.
Gabe Kapler was always super jacked, and
he's still jacked.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I mean, like, I think he used to be a bodybuilder, and like he just looked like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be great. And he never put it together in the majors, and he just never really was very good. And I think those guys just have, like you said, I think they have a tough time staying healthy. And I think Tyler O'Neill is the next in that line.
Yeah. I mean, I hope he figures it out, because I really enjoy watching him play. He's a great defender. And I think he's got a really, great bat, but he's got to stay healthy. Ian Happ, another guy who gets hurt, kind of periodically. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. You taking him off your board?
No, I for right now, it doesn't seem like it's, it's kind of like, who's the other guy we just talked about with the hamstring injury? Sonny Gray. Like, I think he's probably okay. We'll see. Like, as long as he didn't tear anything, but I'm more worried with him than I am with Gray, because he's a hitter. He's gonna have to run. He steals some bags. Also, we skipped over Josh Lowe, who has a hip injury. But with Lowe, it's just like, I don't know, just playing for Tampa, knowing he's not going to hit against all the lefties. I have a hard time taking him as early as he goes.
Yeah, I don't end up with Lowe a lot. I'm actually a little surprised he's going as low as Josh Lowe is going. But I still can't seem to land on him. I think I've only drafted him once.
No, I can't do it.
So, but I'm not super worried about the hip issue, but I agree with you. I tend to kind of fade him where he's going. All right. Moving on to Tommy Edman. He had off-season wrist surgery.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't a big deal. It is now becoming a big deal. He's not going to be ready for opening day. It doesn't seem. It sounds like, now you got him. Lars Nootbaar's got broken ribs. He's not going to be ready. Is it full on Brendan Donovan season?
Oh boy. Yeah, it's not a bad shot to take.
Going to be leading off in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, anytime a guy coming off of wrist surgery, I'm pretty much out, because it's going to sap their power. I mean, you saw it with Tatis last year. He was good, but the power wasn't there. And Edman is obviously not a power hitter to begin with, but he's mostly just going to be good for steals. Sounds like he might even hit towards the end of the lineup. But yeah, I mean, Brendan Donovan, for as late as he's going, I believe
290 something, 296, I believe.
Okay, close to 300. Yeah, I mean, like, got that second base outfield eligibility. There's some other guys I like around there a little bit more, but I think he's a solid pick if you need a second base, like middle infield option.
He doesn't have much power, though. He was showing more power before he got hurt last year. He doesn't run it. He doesn't run a ton. But what does he do if he's leading off in St. Louis? He's going to score a shit ton of runs.
He's the kind of guy who I think is going to fall in the main events too, because I don't think anyone's going to be like overly excited about Brendan Donovan.
I made this comp on the Sleeper and the Bust earlier today with Paul. I was like, isn't Brendan Donovan exactly what people are like, exactly the same profile as Riley Green, like 150 picks later?
Yeah.
Like 17 home runs, 10 stolen bases, a 280 batting average, and leading off for a good team. Like, isn't that exactly what people want from Riley Green going 150 picks earlier?
Pretty much. I mean, Riley Green hits the ball harder, I believe.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm looking at
Brendan. But 150 picks worth like more? Like, I know I shit on Riley Green and and I don't think it's unwarranted. I think Riley Green's overdrafted based on his prospect pedigree. But like, this is more about Brendan Donovan just being criminally underrated right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't see myself taking much Riley Green coming off the Tommy John, and just in that park, it's so hard to hit the ball out in Detroit.
Yeah. Moving on to Vaughn Grisham got a hamstring groin issue. He's unlikely for opening day. It's kind of a bummer because I actually really like Vaughn Grisham after getting traded. Like, it seems like he's going to play every day. Is he coming off your board, or you still want to take the gamble?
He was not someone I was honestly that interested in, but yeah, I think at this point he's probably not a guy. I mean, neither of those are injuries that I'm super concerned about, but if he's going to be out to start the season, I would have to get a really good discount, and he would have to be a good team fit for me to take him.
Yeah, I mean, I like I like Vaughn Grisham, but I have a hard time putting guys on my team that are starting the year injured. Like, that's just that's the hard part for me.
More pitchers for me. Like, I'm willing to stash a hitter if he's going to miss, a week or two, but it has to be the right fit.
See, and for me, like, I don't want to stash even hitters because, especially for the first week of the season, or first weekend of the season, I'm really trying to load up on guys who might be relievers who could get into save roles, or could just give me innings in the kind of the short weekend. So Grisham's one of those guys I'd rather try to pick up off of waivers if someone drops him as opposed to rostering on my team.
By the way, real quick, put Sarah's comment up on the screen.
Who is she talking about?
I think she's talking about Josh Lowe, unless I'm wrong. But she said he could be the next in the Adolis Garcia, Randy Arozarena line. The thing is, though, both of those guys can hit lefties. Lowe is 181 average with 2 homers career versus lefties. It's not a ton of at bats, obviously, but the other thing is that he's a lefty. And
she was talking about Tyler O'Neill.
Oh, Tyler O'Neill. Okay, my bad. Yeah, but
I don't disagree with that. If he can stay healthy,
skills wise, sure, but those guys don't have anywhere near the health risk that he does.
This is a Cardinals outfielder joke, is what she says.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. There are a lot of Cardinals outfielders playing really well on other teams.
I forgot that Arozarena and Garcia were both originally Cardinals. Gotcha.
You would think with how tall you are, the jokes wouldn't go over your head, but
wait, did you understand that right away?
No, I didn't get it either. But I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure. I'm like 5'10", but
so you're short, so that's why.
Yeah. Even on the split screen, you look tall.
Well, it is what it is. You were talking about that today about me throwing you around the first time I met you.
Yeah, it was fucking great. Like, I am not a little guy. I'm 5'10", but and I've lost some weight, but when
you didn't when I met you though, you were full weight at that point.
Yeah, I was almost 300 pounds at that point. You picked me up and threw me around like I was a child. Like unreal. All right, Noelvi Marte gets suspended 80 games for PEDs.
That was a bummer.
I mean, a huge bummer. A bigger bummer for the guy I traded him to in my dynasty league the week before, because I turned Marte into Salas and then flipped Salas for Gallen. Just a bummer of news.
I tweeted about this. I basically said I knew something was up. I didn't know this. So this is what Zach was trying to call me out on, and I'm like, no, I never said I knew Marte was going to be suspended for PEDs, but I said I knew when they had that situation where they signed Candelario, there was something going on there. There's no reason for them to sign him unless they knew something was up. So,
see, 100%, I don't think they knew yet.
No, I definitely think they did. I definitely think they did.
I see. Paul said the same thing today on the pod, and I said I don't think
100% think they knew.
That was 2 months ago. I don't think it would have come out already.
They wait a long fucking time to release that stuff. But the team knew. They tell the team doesn't have to, because of all the, I don't know, the HIPAA stuff, whatever. They have to wait to release the information. I don't know. I've seen other examples where they've done this before too, though. So I'm 100%. I think that they knew, and that's why they signed Candelario. And obviously, they planned around this. I didn't know that. I should have been paying attention because I think he hadn't really played much this spring, right?
No, I think he had played. I don't think they knew. I I think Candelario signing was much more about them wanting to get rid of Jonathan India, but they haven't been able to because India's been hurt. But
he played 4 games, dude. That's it. So I should have knew something was up there.
Either way, like I think this is another really, really good example of like, don't worry about like crowded situations. They almost always work themselves out one way or another. Like this, like me included was like, you know, like someone's got to lose playing time, like one way or another, whether, you know, obviously suspension's a little bit more rare, but like injuries or just players not performing, these kind of situations always work themselves out one way or another. And now I got to go readjust my projections on.
But if you had drafted Marte saying, well, it'll work itself out one way or another, that did not work out for you.
Well, yeah, but like you never know how exactly it's going to work. It's like, yeah, I've got Marte and a Gladiator, and
I would say it would have been much smarter just to avoid everybody within that situation, so that you knew something was messed up there. So I'm avoiding everybody. Then you make sure you don't have any Noelvi Marte, like my dumbass who drafted him in Glarf. So
yeah, well, you'll be dropping him real quick.
Yeah, that I will be. Wonderful.
Junior Caminero and Jordan Lawlar were both sent down. This is not surprising news. If you've been listening to any of my pods this offseason, Dave and I haven't recorded a ton together, but I've been saying neither of these guys were going to make the team. So
yeah,
don't draft them.
I don't know how long they're going to be down for, but I don't think either of them are guys that are must stashes in like a 15 where you're using a bench slot to hold on to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not big into stashing to begin with. I think if one is, it's Caminero, because I think there is, room on the Rays for him to come up at some point, especially if he's just crushing it. But he's also like 20 years old. So like,
that's the thing. Like, I mean, Jordan Walker seemed like he was ready. And I mean, he wasn't bad last year by any stretch, but I don't think he was definitely not what people expected when they drafted him in the top 10 rounds either. And granted, you don't have to do that with Caminero, but yeah, I don't know. I think you just got to wait until they come up because we don't know how long they're going to be down.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's move on to the meat of the subject. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go round by round. We're using Rotowire Online Championship ADP since the beginning of the month, and we're gonna just kind of talk about the guys we're fading round to round, and we'll see how many rounds we get to. Maybe we'll get through all of them. Maybe we won't. Let's start with round one because that's at the top of the draft. Who are the guys, or is there a guy in the first round that you're fading?
Yeah, it's Corbin Carroll and Aaron Judge in the first round. Corbin Carroll, obviously, I've spoken a good amount about his with the shoulder subluxation, similar to what Tatis had years ago, where it can pop out and he can miss, and Carroll can potentially miss a lot of time. At any point, his season could be over. So we saw in the second half last year, the power was pretty much out. Could he be okay? Maybe. I'm not doing that with my first round pick though. It's not a consideration for me. I'm not taking him even the second round either.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about Carroll as you are. But he is kind of at the back of my first round as opposed to being in the place where I would get him. So I'm probably not going to end up with Corbin Carroll because one, I'm trying to draft in the middle and I'm not going to take him in the middle. I have drafted him in one league, and I kind of regretted it after that. I think it was Barf actually. But I completely agree with you on Aaron Judge. I understand why everybody's taking him there, but like I just don't trust him to stay healthy. No. And when I'm drafting in my first few rounds, everybody's got upside. Everybody going in the first round has upside. I worry about the downside more. I just don't want those guys to fail. Those guys can't return more value. You're taking them in the first round. They're not returning 0 round value, right? But They can return less than first round value. And so the guys to me that I'm avoiding are the ones I think that could return me, 14th round value because they missed time. And Aaron Judge fits that bill. I'm not touching Aaron Judge.
Yeah, so in the early part of the draft, I'm looking for reasons not to take players. In the later part of the draft, I'm looking for reasons to take players because you're it's a different philosophy. Early on, you just don't want to miss. Late, you want to hit. So you're looking for those guys who if there's a good reason to take them, that matters more than the reasons not to, because if they bust, it's not a big deal. If your first round pick busts, it's really tough to recover. The adage that you can't win your league with your first round pick, but you can lose it, is false. You can still win it, even if your first round pick sucks or gets hurt. But it makes it so much more difficult, especially if you're playing in an overall competition. Plus, Judge already has toe issues already, and he's 6'7". Like, you think I'm a monster? He's 2 inches taller than me, and I can tell you, health concerns come with being bigger. There's just people I don't think were meant to be that size, and back issues for me all through my life. I'm sure he has plenty of things as well. I just think that him staying healthy is a lot to ask.
Yes, you are a monster.
And he's bigger than me.
Yeah, I mean, people are not meant to be that size. They're supposed to be my size, which is average, normal size. All right. All right, let's move on to the second round. Who are the guys or guy you are avoiding in the second round?
There's really there's not many people in the second round that I'm avoiding, honestly.
Obviously, Gerrit Cole, who's now we can easily write that one off.
Right.
If you don't have anybody, I have.
Well, I had Ellie De La Cruz. Is really, I'm not willing to pay that price for a second round pick. That's really the only one. I don't. He's not like a guy I'm fading or saying he's going to be a bust. I'm just saying I can't pay the second round price for him.
Yeah, that's my main one. Now, I will say I did change my projection on him in terms of just giving him a few more plate appearances once the Marte news hit. Not a ton more. And it did make him quite a bit higher. So, I had been saying, I would not touch Ellie De La Cruz in, the first 3 or 4 rounds. I now would consider him in, the middle third.
I would take him in the middle or end of the third, I think.
Yeah, but I'm still not taking him in the second round, and I don't think that price is coming down even with pitchers moving up. I think people are still gonna take the shot on that upside. So the other guy that I know you disagree with is Jordan Alvarez. The health history is very, very similar to Judge. I can't personally say I'm not going to touch Judge because of the health history and say I'm then going to go draft Jordan Alvarez. Now, Alvarez is, again, one of those guys hey, end of the second in a 15-teamer, maybe early third, I would be very interested. But he's never getting there. He's probably going to jump close to the first round, especially with Cole now out. So I'm not touching Jordan Alvarez again. One of these years he's going to put together 630 plate appearances and just be an absolute monster. Yeah, and I'll eat it. But until that happens, I'm not going to.
That's fair. I mean, I certainly understand it. I don't have the same level of concern for him that I have of Judge, but there is some health concern there for sure.
Yeah. Other minor fade in the second round is Matt Olson. Not because I think Matt Olson's going to be bad or bust, but again, I just think the depth at first base. If I don't get Harper or Freeman, I'm probably just waiting a while at first base. So
I get it, but in that lineup where they play their guys literally every single day, and the Braves are one of the few teams that do that, I'm not worried about it. I mean, yes, I would prefer not a first baseman, but I'll figure it out around him. I'm still willing to take him. He's not a target though. I'd rather take other guys. I'm just saying, I took him in Glarf in the middle of the second round, so I'm willing to take him, but he's not necessarily a target.
Okay. All right. The third round has a lot of fades for me. So I'll lead this one off. Michael Harris, I think, is going too high.
Really?
I don't think he is a bust per se, but any guy who's batting ninth or betting in the bottom half of the lineup that early to me is just not a guy that I'm super interested in. I'm still a little worried about Gunnar Henderson's ability to hit left-handed pitching. And so I think he's going a little bit too high. And then I love what CJ Abrams did for me. CJ Abrams won me a crap ton of money in 2023, but there are times where you stick with your dudes, and then there are times where you thank them for their service and you pivot to other guys. CJ Abrams going way too high this
year. So first of all, with Michael Harris, I don't think he's going to hit ninth. I don't know for sure, but I mean, he's hit a lot of leadoff in the spring, but that's also because Acuna's been hurt. So if they go back with Acuna, I don't think there's a zero chance that he ends up leading off at some point though. But I think he's likely to hit like 6th or 7th versus righties. He might hit 9th versus lefties, but I love Michael Harris's skill set. Abrams also like you. He did make improvements in the second half with like his hard hit rate and everything. He's still not a good hitter though. You're really just drafting him for the elite steals upside. But I was
gonna say my biggest issue with Abrams is something that's completely out of control. His team around him sucks.
Well, that too.
Like,
yeah.
Like the runs and RBIs are still not going to be good.
Right.
Like even if he just is the guy he was in the second half, which was amazing. Like I said,
yeah,
he got dropped in the beginning of June in my auction league, and I picked him up, and I literally rode CJ Abrams to a championship in that league. So he won me a ton of money, but like he could have 45 RBIs, and I'm not going to be surprised. Like, do you want to draft a guy in the 3rd round that's going to get you 45 RBIs?
Yeah, I mean, he's going at the same time as like Vlad and Marcus Semien, who are like legit, really good hitters. So I just, I get it. Like, you're trying to get your steals, but that's not how I want to do it.
You can get steals other places now.
Right. Exactly.
2 years ago, maybe we would say like, oh, you need those stolen bases, but you can get stolen bases now.
Right. So my other fades would be Luis Robert. I love the skills, but even in a year where he stayed healthy for the most part last year, he still got dinged up several times. And like, he constantly has things. But like, he could be a guy where one of these years he puts together a year where he hits like 290 with, 40 homers and 20 steals. Like, that's within his realm of possibilities. And then he's a first rounder, but I just don't trust the health. And, like the average has fluctuated. The power has fluctuated. The speed has fluctuated. It's hard to know what you're going to get from him year to year. And in the 3rd round, I just want someone a little more stable.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I have drafted Robert in a couple leagues, but I've never felt good about it. We're gonna let's move on to the 4th round, where there's a guy I've drafted in a couple leagues, and I still don't feel good about it. In Royce Lewis, I now that I've finished my projections, like I can't draft Royce Lewis. Like I can't project him for enough plate appearances.
No.
My other fades in this round are 2 Dodgers pitchers. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you're a Giants fan. That's why Tyler Glasnow has never been a top 30 starting pitcher ever in his career. And this is not a short career, but I think people still think, oh, like he's like in his mid-20s. He hasn't pitched that much. This is his 9th season, and he's never been a top 30 pitcher because he can't go that deep into a season. Like, I know Dodgers are magic in terms of like getting guys to be healthy, but are they really? Because I think Tony Gonsolin and Clayton Kershaw might disagree with that assessment. Like, I don't want to. I can't touch Tyler Glasnow to pray.
It took him 8 seasons to reach a career high of checks notes, 120 innings.
20 innings. Yeah.
Like, God, what are we doing? Like, yeah, I understand the skills are great and pitching is attrition and any pitcher can get hurt, but like, this is a guy who's proven that he cannot stay healthy.
I projected him to have like 130 or 135 innings, which again would pass his career high.
Yeah, that would be his career high.
And he still was like, just because he's so good on a per inning basis, like he was still like almost a top 20 or top 25 starter, something like that. But I still can't get him because he's going as like a top 10 starter in NFBC.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. Like, he's the kind of guy who in a Yahoo league where I have an IL slot, if he fell a little bit, I would take him. I'm not going to take him in NFBC because I do not want to be constantly adding starters and having to stash him on my bench, because when you take him in the 4th round, you're not going to want to drop him when he gets hurt. You're going to be like, oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll come back soon. And then he'll come back and then he'll get injured again. And then you'll be like, oh, I can't drop him again. It's just, people don't think enough about all the zeros that you're taking and all of the guys that you have to throw in there when they're not healthy.
Steven says, let your hair down, Mason. Believe that he will be in the 2nd round next year. You know what? I have no hair. And I can't afford the, $5,000 hair transplant. Not that I would ever do that. But my other fade is the other Dodgers pitcher in this round, and that is Yamamoto.
Okay.
I understand the skills are amazing. Okay. And that he is dominated in Japan. I never draft these guys in their first year in the US.
It's fair. I mean, there's so much hype. He looks so good, but ultimately we really don't know what he's going to give us. And fourth round is a high price to find that out. By the way, shout out to my guy Carlos Marcano, great dude.
Yep, he's saying just jumping in for a moment to say you guys rock. You rock too, Carlos. We love you.
You
do. The problem for me with Yamamoto is he's been great in Japan. I do think that he will translate really well at some point. But I don't know what kind of rotation the Dodgers are going to run. Like, how many innings can he really get in a 6-day, 6-man, whatever rotation they're going to run? Number two, like, he's never pitched regularly on an MLB schedule. Like, that's a different type of schedule. Like, in terms of travel, in terms of usage. And then finally, like, we've seen it with a lot of Japanese players, a lot of Korean players coming over. There's a transition year. These guys are not comfortable. They don't speak the language properly. They're away from their families. Like, you just don't know how that kind of quote unquote off the field stuff is going to affect them on the field. And so while I could definitely, like, you look at like this stuff plus from like, Saris and, you look at other metrics that are out there, and there are people who think, really smart people who know pitching better than me, think he's going to be a top 5 starter. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'd rather be wrong and miss than be wrong and have it on my team.
Yeah, I think there gets to be a point where I'm willing to take the unknown over the known. I just don't think that's where he's going is quite at that point yet. And I mean, we saw Senga have a really good season last year, although I think he pitched over his head. He had a Sierra of 4, even though his ERA was 2.98, and he had a 122 WHIP, which is not great. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if Senga, Yamamoto. I think Yamamoto might be the better pitcher.
He is.
Yeah. So, again, I can easily see Yamamoto being elite this year. It's just like you said, it's still somewhat of an unknown. You want to?
Steven was talking about Royce Lewis, not Gausman. I love Royce Lewis again from a per plate appearance basis. Like, if I could be guaranteed 600 plate appearances from Royce Lewis, I think he's a second round pick. I really do. Like, I think he's a monster.
I love Royce Lewis. I had him a lot last year.
I just can't do it in 15-team leagues. In 10s and 12s, go ahead. Like, totally fine. Yeah. But
by the way,
15-team leagues, can't do it.
This is the second time now where we thought you guys were talking about someone else. Please specify in the chat when you're talking about someone. Instead of saying he, tell us who you're talking about so that
we're moving quickly through these. So got a lot of rounds to
By
cover.
The way, also fourth round Gausman, we mentioned him, right? So,
okay. I think anybody else you want to fade in the fourth?
No, I had Royce Lewis in the fifth, so because he's kind of on the border there. So he was a fade for me as well.
Let's go to fifth. Who you fading here?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think we need to talk about. We talked about it earlier, but Devin Williams, obviously, and then I still have too much trepidation with Max Fried with his forearm injury from last year. Yeah. I know he returned, but he missed several months, and he didn't fix it, right? Like he just had rest. So could he just be okay magically now? Maybe, but this is a guy who's missed a good amount of time over the years with injuries, and forearm is not something I mess around with. So I will not have any Fried this year unless he falls drastically. Adley Rutschman is another one. Look, he plays every day. Great skills, but he goes like 2 rounds before the next catcher. And I don't see any separation, like any real separation between him and other catchers where I could see other guys, having a better year than him. I don't think he's not elite at anything. He's very solid. I don't see the reason to use an early round pick on him.
I don't disagree with the overall argument. I think that for me, catchers become so deep that I'd rather use that 5th round pick on somebody else and then pivot to a different guy later on, whether that's one of the Contreras, whether that's I love Jonah Heim, who's going super, super late.
I like
Mitch
Yander.
Garver. Yeah, Yander Diaz is going later. I do think there is something elite about Rushman. I just, he makes amazing contact in the zone. Like he's got like unreal zone contact numbers, and there's power in that bat. So, and he's gonna hit really high up in what is looking like a really strong,
but
really
unless he hits like 30 homers with a 300 average, and
I think he could.
And that's fine, but I'm not gonna. I can't pay that cost assuming that it's going to happen. I mean, granted, if he does that, he's worth that and more, but I don't know. I just, like you said, I think there's too many other solid catching options. And I mean, he was basically like a slightly better version of Will Smith last year. So yeah, I think that he could very well, that could just be the same thing this year. I don't know. I'm not saying he can't do more. I don't know.
I think sometimes we say like that prospect growth isn't linear. And we use that as like a way of like saying, oh, this guy could still break out. We also forget to mention that means that like guys who just broke out could plateau. Sure. And I think we saw it with like Jeremy Pena last year, right? Like, Jeremy Pena was an amazing call by some really, really good prospect guys in our industry when he was a rookie. And I was not in on him. But I think there were, and I'm not saying like anybody in particular, but there were people who thought, oh, he's just going to keep getting better. And he kind of plateaued. That was kind of the high watermark, at least it seems right now. Rushman could just have a plateau season. And it's like, okay, then he's definitely not worth it. But I also could see like a massive season for Rushman. So I understand why he's not a fade for me. Just never a guy to land on. Sarah in the chat said Wilson Contreras going way too late this year. And I'm not just saying that because he's my favorite player. I agree with you. I love Contreras.
I disagree. I thought about putting him as a fade. I do see a big difference between him and William because William plays like every day. Wilson, they didn't even like playing him at catcher last year. Like that's why Sarah drafted Ivan Herrera in Glarf, which I thought was a brilliant move because I think that he could take on a lot of catching. And then is Wilson going to play enough at DH to make up for that? I mean,
they're not paying him to sit. If he's not catching, then he's DHing.
All right, we'll see. I don't know. Wilson is not a big target for me. I think he's fine. He's not really a fade for me, but I'm not into him.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody that is like a huge target for me necessarily at catcher, but there is like I think Wilson Contreras is going too late, and so like he was my catcher last night, or one of my catchers last night in my auction. Like totally happy with where I got him.
So where do you think that Wilson should be going? Because right now he is the 9th catcher. Well, depending on how you look at it, 8th catcher off the board. He's going around Francisco Alvarez, Cal Raleigh, Sean Murphy. Like, do you think he should be going where?
I think him and Sean Murphy are both going way too late. I think the fact that they're right next to Francisco Alvarez, who can't hit anything, like when he hits something, it's a bomb. But like someone made, I think it was Michael Simeone made a joke or said something about like Francisco Alvarez because he had a home run. He's all like, "Oh, I'm not just saying it because I'm a homer, but like, man, this is awesome." It's like you're a homer and 5 strikeouts because that's what you're gonna get like every fucking time with fucking Francisco Alvarez. Dude can't make contact in the zone. He's got like a 70% zone contact.
Well, my bigger issue with Alvarez than that is that they really never played him. Like there was hardly any times where they played him back-to-back games, and they never played him 3 games in a row. Yeah. So unless I hear something where they're dedicating full-time playing time or closer to that, I just think like he doesn't play enough. And so Sean Murphy is a guy whose skills I absolutely love. The problem is that while d'Arnaud is healthy, he just doesn't play that much. He plays like 55% of games.
I think he'll play more. I think they were trying to like you look at what his usage was earlier on in the season.
I did. It was the same. When d'Arnaud was playing, he never played much. I mean, he played like 55% of games.
I think he'd be fine. I honestly do. I'm not super worried about Murphy.
I don't know. I'm based on what? If d'Arnaud gets hurt, Sean Murphy's going
d'Arnaud always gets hurt. D'Arnaud's been hurt his entire career.
He only missed like a couple weeks last year, I think. I don't know. It's hard for me to say Murphy should go any higher because of that. If he was
I think the argument really is, and this we're getting back to Rushman, is like there's a bunch of these guys. Like, I'm fine if I end up with Wilson Contreras, if I end up with Sean Murphy, if I end up with Logan O'Hoppe, if I end up with Gabriel Moreno, if I end up with
like
Jonah Heim.
Rutschman could end up with like 300 more plate appearances than Sean Murphy. That's the problem. So like that's where it's not, they're not comparable unless they play Murphy a lot more this year. And I don't right now, without any other knowledge, it doesn't look like they are going to. I don't know.
I think they might.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to, I don't even know round. We were in round 5. Let's go to round 6. Who you got?
Yep. Oh, Sarah's not going to like this one either.
Oh, and I'm not going to like this one either if I think I know where you're going.
Yeah. I mean, look, Nico Horner's a nice little player. Oh. I owned him several places last year, but he's another guy who just does. He's coming off of a career year. You're taking him at a high water mark. Those are not always, but very often bad investments. I think he could be fine, but he's also a guy who's had an injury track record, and he's just not a great hitter. I mean, what's his barrel rate? Like 2%, 3%? Like,
we need to have a discussion about what it means to not being a great hitter, because he doesn't have a lot of power. Is that the argument? Because he is one of the best pure hitters in baseball.
Yeah, he's a good contact guy, but this is not the type of guy that I'm looking for. And are you know, he jumped from 20 to 43 steals. Are we sure that he's going to be running that much again? I mean, what if he regresses back to like 25 steals with, under 10 homers, RBI? It's going to be an issue. He's going to give you runs. He's going to give you average, but is he going to stay healthy again? So I don't know. Coming off of a career year, it's just not a guy I'm looking to take where he as early as he goes.
Yeah, I have no problem with where Nico Horner goes. We're talking about one of the best pure hitters in all of baseball. 95% zone contact, is elite, is like top 3 in baseball. All the dude does is put the ball in play, and he's got speed. Yes, there's not going to be much power, but he's going to lead off for a really good lineup in the Cubs. Sarah thinks you're baiting her at this point. Like Nico Horner.
It's in the show notes, Sarah. Justin can attest. It's in the show notes.
Yeah. Nico Horner's not like a guy like he ends up on every single one of my teams, but like I have no problem with where he goes. I absolutely.
All right, well let's hear your fade for this round then. I'm curious because I like a lot of guys in this round. That's the other thing. Nico was the guy I like least in the 6th round. Like everybody else, I pretty much like.
It's actually kind of a tough round.
Yeah. There's not many fade.
Like Jazz Chisholm still.
I had him in round 5. I had Jazz as another guy. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, the injuries just like, I mean, we're starting to finally like come back a little bit on the price. He's not going in the 4th round anymore, but
yeah,
it's still too high. Like dude can't stay on the field. I
love Justin. He says he's going to steal 40 bases and whatever. So clearly you should take his word for it.
He absolutely could. If he stays on the field for 600 plate appearances, he could steal 50. I have no doubt. Like he could, and the reason why he goes this high is because if he stays on the field, he could be a 40-40 player in return for first round value.
40. Okay, he's not going to hit 40 homers. Let's take a step back here.
Like I would not be surprised. Like
I would be very surprised. But okay, regardless, especially in that park, Jazz, he plays really hard. He reminds me in a lot of ways of Grady Sizemore. I'm not faulting him for that, but like Grady Sizemore, he can't stay on the field. And he's had so many lower body injuries, which could then affect his speed. Like there's so many concerns with him that you're right. He's going at a more palatable point, but still not to a point where I can take him.
You add his last 2 seasons together, it doesn't even. It barely gets you over 600 plate appearances, right? It's like 620 plate appearances. He would have had, math is hard, 33 home runs and 34 stolen bases. Like, okay, so maybe 40-40 is. You said maybe 40-40 is hyperbolic.
You said easily go 40-40. Right. I'm saying that's garbage.
All right, so 30-30. 30-30, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
But
all right.
30-30, like he's a first round pick. 30-30, 250.
Pretty
damn close
plays
to
enough,
it, right?
Yeah, if the counting stats are there because he plays enough games, then Jazz could be.
But he doesn't. Like he's only once gotten over a 500 plate appearance threshold. He hasn't done it since 2021. And I don't believe he can do it. And until I see him do it, like, I'm just not going to pay a 6th-round price. Like, at least finally we're getting Byron Buxton, like, where you should be getting Byron
Well,
Buxton.
he's coming way up the boards again too,
Oh,
though.
great.
So we'll see.
Of
where
course
he
he
ends up.
is.
Yeah, he's already up like 70 picks from where he was like a week ago. So
my other fade is a really easy fade. It's Blake Snell, because he doesn't even have a fucking team at this point, which is ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. But even if he did have a team, I still wouldn't draft him. He's been super injury prone his career. He led the National League in walks last year. He's coming off of a season in which, yes, he was amazing from a straight numbers perspective, but like the underlying skills do not support him being able to do that. He will not be in San Diego, which is a fantastic park to pitch in. He'll probably be in Yankee Stadium, which is not a fantastic park to pitch in. I want nothing to do with Blake Snell. Even if he ended up with my Giants in San Francisco, which is a great park to pitch in, I don't want him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not out on him completely, but I did have him as a fade because right now I don't know where he's going to go or what he's,
Is there any, if he's signed tomorrow, do you think he's ready to start the season?
I don't know. I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know if he's been.
He hadn't been pitching against major league talent.
True. Well, yeah. I would say if he signs tomorrow, it'll be close. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know that he is.
But either way, yeah. It's getting to a point where he's still going way too early. Like it's just and like you said, there's other concerns, health and control. There's too many things stacking up.
Give me all the other starting pitchers in this round. Logan Gilbert, Jason Rodriguez.
Love those guys.
Framber Valdez, Bobby Miller. Take
all easy.
Guys,
Easily over Snell. No question. Now, my other fade that I have here is Schwarber, and I love the power, but man, that average, I had him last year thinking that the average was going to go back up, and it got even worse. Like if he's hitting 200, it doesn't matter that he's hitting 40, 45 bombs. It's average is such a hard thing to recover from.
Yeah, I mean, it is obviously, if you're going to draft Schwarber, you have to plan around it. To me, I like him better in an auction. I got him in my auction last night. And it's one of those things where I was able to fit average guys around him that buffer that up. But it's really hard in a snake draft to kind of have that plan going in because you have to make a decision really, really quickly on what you're going to do. So I think for me in an auction, I prefer Schwarber because you can kind of fit those pieces in a lot more, carefully. But in a draft, I have a hard time drafting Schwarber.
What are you doing for your average to accommodate for a guy who's going to hit 200 though?
Getting a few guys who can hit 280, 300.
You're going to need several because then later on your draft picks are also going to be average drained. See, the problem is I think for Schwarber, there's an approach change where he started hitting a lot more fly balls the last couple of years and a lot less line drives. Line drive rate is the number one driver behind average. So when his line drive rate goes from 20% to 15 to 16%, that's really, really bad for his average outlook. Like I cannot see him hitting above like 225. So
I can. I mean, it's lots of things can influence batting average.
I couldn't reasonably project him to hit higher than 220.
Yeah, I think I projected from like 225 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just not doing that. Not that early, especially.
That's totally fine. I totally understand. That's a roster construction issue. And if you're not comfortable constructing around him, then I get it. I'm okay doing it.
Also, Sarah saying the Jazz is going to steal 50. Let's talk about a side bet, Sarah.
No. She's talking about Nico Horner.
Oh, okay. God damn it. You guys need to specify who you're talking about.
All right. Let's move on to round 7. Who's your fave here?
Round 7. That was round 7. I thought we were on round 8.
Oh, sorry, round 8.
Round 8, I just have Josh Lowe there. I just again like the hip injury plus the part-time playing time plus Tampa not playing guys every day. I can't take a platoon guy that high.
All right. I figured out that somewhere along the line my thing reset from October 1st. And so that's why I was a little bit off. So I'm fixing that. Round 8, let's see. I guess if I'm here you go. I got 2 fades. One who's easy fade and another one who's kind of like a mediocre fade. I'll start with the mediocre fade. Joe Ryan just gives up so many home runs. Like there are other guys going in this area that I just prefer. Like I'm just never gonna end up.
I am a hard disagree with you there. I think Joe Ryan is going to be great. Yeah, there's no way that home run rate is he's not going to be anywhere close to that again. But anyways, continue with your next one.
Yeah, I don't want to take the risk on him. It's Tristan Casas. I don't know what Tristan Casas is. So Tristan Casas last year, let's start with his first half. His first half, and as I hit my mic, hopefully that wasn't loud. Tristan Casas in the first half was atrocious. But if you looked at the underlying skills, you went, hey, he's actually making more contact in the zone. He's hitting the ball really hard. There's a big breakout coming in the second half. And so, I, like other people, wrote lots of articles and talked about him on the podcast. Like, hey, this is a buy low opportunity. It's a buy low opportunity on Tristan Casas. If people want to drop him, if people want to trade him away, this is time to go buy on him. So what happens in the second half? He has a monster second half. And you're like, oh man, this is it. But if you look under the hood, the underlying numbers say he should have been really bad in the second half. Like the zone contact was atrocious. The power numbers are actually starting to slip. I don't know who Tristan Casas is, and I don't think he does either. And I think we're going to see a lot of this. I think we're going to see a lot of these really bad slumps and then, really hot moments and then really bad slumps and really hot moments. I don't want to draft that kind of guy that early.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly see that he could become the next elite prospect at first base, or elite player at first base. He was an elite prospect, but I could also see him losing playing time versus lefties. His projections put him kind of in the same range as guys going, several rounds later. He doesn't run. There's nothing really special there. He's not going to hit for a really high average. So you're just hoping that the power really breaks out this year. Yeah. So yeah, I can understand why Casas is a guy to fade there. All
right, let's move into round 9.
Okay.
Who you got?
So David Bednar, we've already discussed, got a lat issue. And I think the presence of Aroldis Chapman there sufficiently scares me off Bednar this year. The other one for me is Joe Musgrove. I still don't think he's healthy, and I don't know what he's done lately, but I know his first outing or two were really bad in spring. Just velo was down, ball was flat. I'm completely off Musgrove this year.
Yeah, I'm actually right there with you on Musgrove. I don't really care about what he did in spring. What I care about is he could not finish the season last year with the arm troubles. And that for me is enough to be I'm just not super interested in Musgrove. Even though I've loved Musgrove in the past, he hasn't had any other starts since then. So just those two atrocious starts where he's got a 43.2 earned run average.
Obviously that's not really what.
Yeah, we don't care, but
but I think it's because he's not healthy.
Yeah, Dylan Cease. I mean, you are getting a discount on him, and you can get a bunch of strikeouts, and he probably will get traded to a better team where he can get wins. But the command and control just scares the crap out of me, so I just don't draft him.
Yep, same thing. And the upside is even if he's really good again, he's still in the White Sox, so you're not going to get shit for wins either.
Well, I assume they'll trade him at some point, right?
Maybe, but that's a lot of assumptions to make. You're assuming,
and potentially halfway through the season where he's already racked up half the stats. So
right, there's even in round 10 or 9 or whatever, I don't think he's worth it. Yeah.
Oh, there's so much to fade in round 10.
Yeah. Well, also I had Cease in round 10, so yeah, I agree. Okay. There's a ton in round 10.
All right, so round 10, Yuri Perez. Esteury Ruiz is in round 10. I know there's all this talk about him wanting to hit for more power. I don't know that he can. He plays in Oakland, which is a hard park to hit out of anyways. He's not a big dude. He hits the ball hard. I know he can steal bases, but he could also platoon. I don't understand why Esteury Ruiz goes as high as he does.
This is another guy who, if you look at go to the lineup tracker, look at how much he played last year, even on the shitty ass A's, because everyone's like, well, the A's don't have anyone, so they're going to play him. I'm like, well, they didn't play him last year. How is it going to be any different this year? He sat a ton. He sat 2-3 games in a row at times. That's not a guy I'm taking in my top 10 picks. Not to mention the fact that he's going to bury you in like RBI, you're going to get nothing. You know, even if he had some power, which, you know, you're not going to get much there for homers. So I have zero interest in Esteury Ruiz.
Lane Thomas.
Really?
I just don't believe in the breakout. Like,
okay.
And he again plays on Washington, where like it's not going to get much help. So
I'm a believer. I just think he's a legit good player.
Tell me why.
Honestly, it's just and you know he does. I can't remember if it was lefties or righties that he struggled against. Right? I think
I believe so. Yeah.
Crushes lefties and struggles a little bit versus righties, but he's like league average versus righties. Honestly, he was just a guy who last year, once he got going, I never wanted to take him out of my lineup. Like it's, I mean, maybe he's a different guy this year. Maybe he regresses, but I think he's going to keep running. I think he's going to hit second in that lineup. I know it's a bad lineup, but second, you're going to get decent RBI and runs. So I just think he's an all-around positive player at this point in the draft. So he's not a fade for me.
For me, it's not like I don't think he's going to be a bust. So like when we're talking about fades, these aren't always guys that I go, he's going to fall apart. I just don't think he's going to return value. I think the power's going to come back. I think the speed's going to come back. I think, you know, like last year he had 101 runs. I just have a hard time believing he's going to score 101 runs in Washington. Like I just think everything comes back a little bit, and all of a sudden you're going, okay, he didn't kill me. He's not the reason I lost my league, but he didn't help me win it.
I don't know. It's more just sometimes you just the overall history within yourself of playing this game for a while. You're just like have a feeling about certain players. He's a guy that I have a feeling is still going to be worth it. I think he's a guy who's going to fall too. I think he's a guy who you're going to probably be able to get at a discount in drafts.
If he falls, then I have no problem. If he's in like the 13th round or something like that, then okay.
He fell very far in Glarf, and I was mad that I wasn't in a position to take him when he did fall. But another guy who I have here, who, you know, again, guy who could easily prove me wrong, but Evan Carter, he's a guy who he's a lefty, and he has proven that he can't hit lefties. I've looked at his minor league track record. He's simply never going to play against lefties. So you are literally drafting a platoon guy in the top 10 rounds. And I know that there's things about him that look good. I know like he's a good hitter. He's versus righties. He runs, although I think that they could run less now under Bruce Bochy instead of Ron Washington. So I just think there's too much downside with Carter as a platoon guy in the 10th round.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with you. Again, one of these guys, I don't think he's going to like completely fall apart. I mean, he could, but I don't think he's gonna. I think he's got a good enough hit tool versus righties where he's going to be fine. He's a good defender, so like I think he's going to play. Yeah. But I struggle to see where he makes the gains against lefties because he has been really, really bad against them.
He's not going to. He's not going to play. Yeah.
He only got 10 plate appearances versus lefties in the majors last year, and that was by design. Yeah. And then I don't think he is like, I know he showed power in the playoffs and he showed power in his small sample. I don't think he's a power hitter. Like I think he is. No. I think he could be a really good accumulator if he figured out it against lefties, but I don't think he can. So I kind of agree with you.
Yep. And there's one more for me, and that's Tanner Scott, unfortunately, because he was a guy who I came in expecting to like a lot this year, but man, guys who struggle with control this much in spring, he has 7 walks in less than 2 innings. That is really bad. And the history of guys struggling that bad in spring with their control is not good. Probably tells me. What was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, if it wasn't for the fact that he has a long history of struggling with his control, then I probably wouldn't care so much. But he has a long history that even it seemed like it was solved last year, but clearly something seems off right now.
Well, yeah, and certainly that's part of the issue with Tanner Scott is that he does have a history of struggling with control, but we're looking at a whole new level now where, I mean, granted, I know it's a small sample and everything, but this is telling me that there might be an injury here that he has that just they haven't announced yet, or who knows, but either way, I have a feeling he's not going to be the closer to open season at this rate, unless he really turns it around quickly.
Or he's going to lose it. Anthony Bender's back. Right. Like, I mean, there's guys in that bullpen who can close.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you can't throw strikes. It doesn't matter who's closing. Someone else will close.
Another fade for me in this round, which I will probably eat my words on, for me is Jackson Chourio. And I'm saying I may eat my words on it because he is a top tier prospect, and there are a lot of people in the industry who know prospects better than me, and a lot of people really, really love him. And I know he seemingly solved a lot of his issues with strikeouts last year in the minor leagues, but he has a long history in the minor leagues of really struggling to make contact in the zone. I know he seemingly solved him, but I just don't know if he's ready to translate this quickly. I feel like a 10th round pick is a pretty high price to pay for a guy who I don't know that I feel super comfortable with. So I'm fading him, knowing that might burn me.
Yeah, if I'm taking a rookie, a prospect high in a draft, it's going to be Wyatt Langford, and that's really just because James Anderson, who I trust more than anybody else when it comes to this stuff, because he's not only a great prospect analyst, but he's a great fantasy player. So he doesn't just look at the skills; he looks at how it translates to fantasy baseball. He said he's the best. He's had the best debut season of any prospect that he's seen in over 10 years. So that includes, J-Rod, everybody. So that means a lot to me. So I do think that he could struggle this year, but he's the guy who I think could potentially return top 3 round value for this year. The other rookies could all be good, but there's too many question marks. And it's just, I want to have a solid base in my top 10 picks. And that's, Chourio probably isn't where I want to take my shot.
Yep. That's where I'm at too. And co-sign everything you said about James. Love James Anderson. Got to see him in Florida. It was great to catch up with him.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him in Vegas.
I wish I was going to Vegas, but I'm not.
I know. We'll miss you.
So, all right. 11th round's got a couple guys for me. They go kind of right next to each other, and that's Zach Geloff and Hunter Green. Geloff, I honestly don't think he's going to necessarily be a bust. He just plays in Oakland, and I don't want to draft an Oakland player that high in the draft. The runs and RBIs, I think, are going to be a problem. I don't think he's got the kind of power that he showed last year. I think 15 home runs is probably the ceiling for him this year, maybe. So I do think there's some speed, and I think he could steal quite a few bases. But to me, I worry about those contact skills and what kind of batting average he could have. Like, I legitimately think he's got like a sub 200 batting average floor, which is not something I want to put on my roster. And playing in Oakland, man, just no runs and RBIs. So I'm fading Zach Geloff. The other one is Hunter Green. Dude gives up home runs. Dude can't stay healthy. I know he's electric. I'll use him in DFS where he can ruin my night, but not my season.
Okay. I will say I came into the offseason expecting to be off on Geloff, and I am not off of him. I'm in, but I do understand your concerns, and some of them I think, like, being an Oakland Athletic, he is going to struggle to provide some especially probably RBI. I do think that he has a lot more upside in the power department than 15. I mean, he had 14 and 300 plate appearances. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to extrapolate that and get him to 30, but I think he's an easy 2020 guy. Could he hit 230, 240? Yeah, he could. I probably have him batting closer to like 245, 250, but it's more that he's at that second base and he provides all around value that I like. But I get your concerns there. Hunter Green is a straight fade for me as well. The other thing on top of that is you look at the history of guys who throw 98 plus miles an hour. Almost all of them have either had Tommy John or are too, like, where they haven't pitched long enough too. So I don't know. I don't see Hunter Green staying healthy at all, and control is an issue. He doesn't command very well. He pitches in Cincy, so there's just so many reasons that I'm off of Hunter Green. And yes,
Yeah.
he does great stuff, but that's not enough.
Yeah, we're in lockstep on Hunter Green. Geloff, someone in the chat right here. I love his name. It's Idi Amin, the last king of Zambar. Isn't Jack Geloff's zone contact horrendous? It is horrendous, and that's one of the reasons why I think like he could really, really struggle with batting average. Like I think the batting average floor is much lower than you do.
Yeah, it's like 75%.
Yeah, that's like 10% below league average. So if league average batting average is right around 250-ish usually, that means that we're looking at Geloff at being like maybe a 230 hitter. I don't want that. Not this early in the draft, at least. All right. Moving right along to, are we 11th round now? Or no, that was 12th round. I don't know. Oh, Carlos Rodon. I think I'm fading because I just don't think he's healthy.
I was fading him before his velo was way down. Now it's that much easier.
Yeah, I mean, I was open to drafting him once I saw him in spring training. And now that I've seen him in spring training, I'm fading him. So yeah, I think that one's pretty easy. And Josh Young, he's gonna drop in this ADP, but he should be faded just because he's not even ready to start running yet.
I also think he was kind of already going too high to begin with, even if he was healthy. Like he has a sort of a similar skill set to Berger, but was going like a couple rounds above him, and it was just kind of like I just didn't see any reason. And I mean, I was a young fan last year, so I'm not like
I didn't have a problem where he was going initially. If I could pencil him in for 600 plate appearances, but now that I can't, I just because I do think he's got a better batting average kind of floor and ceiling than a guy like Jake Berger, because Berger's going to strike out a fair amount. He's just going to hit for way more power. But like I think Josh Young, if he can figure out how to stay healthy, has like a 30 homer season in him at some point, but it's just not this year because he's not healthy. And we need to start talking about this will be the third straight year where he's had some sort of injury. So at what point do we start giving him an injury-prone tag, right?
Depends on what the injuries are, though. Yeah, but yes.
He had the shoulder, and that caused him to miss the majority of his 2022 minor league season. Last year he was injured, and now he's got this calf thing. I'm not ready to put the tag on him. I'm just saying this is something we need to start thinking about.
Yeah, another guy who I it's not like a fade, but a guy who I probably won't take is Yandy Diaz. He had a great year, but again, you're taking him at the high water mark. This is, round 12 for his skill set is pretty high. Like he doesn't have a lot of power. He doesn't run. He's going to give you a lot of runs, but he's not going to play every day because he plays for Tampa, and he hit 330 last year. He's probably not going to do that again. But he will hit it for a good average. Like he'll hit around 300, but I just there's not enough there for me to want to take Yandy, especially at a deep position like first base in the top 12 rounds.
Steven's saying that Young is looking good to go for opening day. That's not what I had seen. So, but while you look that up, I'll talk about Yandy. Yandy is another one of these guys. Like while he played a lot, like he was always day to day. Like he was super frustrating to roster last year. Like he was always like, we had the Friday switch, and I'd be like, I don't know if I can play him or not because he's dealing with some sort of issue. He's one of these guys, again, like I was talking about with Judge earlier, that or in Tyler O'Neill earlier, that is so muscular that he lacks flexibility, and he kind of leads to these nagging injuries that keep popping up. Nothing massive, nothing that made him miss, 40 or 50 games. But he was just always had this kind of day-to-day tag where you didn't know whether you could play him or not. And for me, like, unless he really fits a build, like I really need batting average at that point, I'm probably never going to draft him.
Yeah. So to get back to what Steven said about Josh Young being ready for the season, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing that he's going to play in some exhibition games March 25th and 26th, and he's very much questionable for opening day, but maybe Steven's seen something that I haven't. Either way, I mean, I don't think Young's going to miss like a lot of time or anything. I don't think it's really a big thing, but so it sounds like he saw the same thing I did, that he's going to play March 25th, but might not be ready for opening day, but maybe a week or two after.
Yeah, maybe like, I've got a draft on March 27th. So maybe like if he's if he plays and does well and stuff on that, maybe I'll change my tune. But until then, I'll probably just not.
I would still want a discount. Like I'm not taking him above.
Oh, I think you'll get a discount. Like I don't think
Okay,
that'll be a problem.
we'll see.
Yeah. All right, moving on into the 13th round. I have a couple fades here. Francisco Alvarez, like I said, I don't want to.
Yeah, we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, so Riley Green is a guy that I've been fading at his price. Like I think he still gets drafted this high because of his prospect pedigree, and I don't think he profiles as like a stud hitter. I think he profiles.
He hits the ball really fucking hard, but I just don't think he's going to hit a lot of home runs. I think the average is going to be good. But that lineup and that park both suck.
Prime Melky Cabrera, 17 home runs, a decent batting average, 9 stolen bases, which is fine, but not what you're going for in this round.
Yeah, there's just other guys I like more.
He's not like a fade for me necessarily, like a guy like I'm completely like running away from or anything like that. But I just wonder if like the hype on Chase McCormick is going a little bit too far. Like this is a guy that's never had full-time playing time, and like I worried he gets exposed a little bit getting full-time playing time. Like if the batting average starts to crater a little bit, I'm not, like I said, like this isn't like a hot take and like, oh, he's you shouldn't be drafting Chase McCormick. I've drafted Chase McCormick this year, but I just think he might be getting a little overdrafted.
Are you calling him Chase? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, isn't it Chase McCormick?
I thought it was Chaz.
Oh, it is Chaz McCormick. You're right.
CHAS, but I was
yes, like, it is Chaz. Wow.
Does he pronounce a long A or something? Like I don't
know. No, you're right. It is Chaz McCormick. I don't know what I was thinking there. Yeah, I just think he's getting a little overdrafted right here. So like if he goes a couple rounds later, then I'm okay with it. But I just think this is a little like, am I taking McCormick over Ian Happ over TJ Friedel? No, like I'm never doing that. Like I don't understand. Like I think people are like going like, oh, look what he did in part-time playing time. Like not every part-time player then in full-time playing time goes like off, right? Like some of them just, there's a reason why they were part-timers.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm trying to think between, I mean, like slightly different with him and Friedel. I mean, Friedel vastly outperformed his home runs, but he's also in a park where that can happen. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to project Friedel to hit 15 plus homers again either. Like I definitely like Chaz's power more, but I think Friedel will run more. Friedel's probably also hitting in a better lineup spot, so I get that.
Chaz also vastly overperformed his batting average. He had a 248 XBA. He's got a sub league average zone contact. Like he's not a 270 hitter. He's like a 245, 250 hitter.
What's league average zone contact again?
About 85%.
Okay. Yeah, I mean he's a little bit below that. I'm not really overly worried about that, but
4%'s not a little. Like it may sound like a little, but it's not a little. It's not like run away, like I'm scared, but like I think he's like a league average hitter, which is like a 250, 245-ish batting average. Like, but like and the XBA kind of bears that out. Like that's probably what he should have hit.
There's some projections that have him around 245, others that have him up closer to 260. So I mean, yeah, I think you can probably count him for about 250-ish average, but both homers and steals could both be good. Was that?
There's nothing in the profile in Chaz McCormick that screams like this guy is gonna have a breakout or this guy's really good at this one. He's just kind of decent at everything, which is fine. Like I'd rather get that a few rounds later.
Okay. And the other fade for me was Kenley, but we already talked about that earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Next round, 14th round. What you got?
Yep. Luis Ariz for me. I just don't want to build that way. I don't want a guy that I have to rely on to have to hit 350 to give me any kind of value unless you think he's always all of a sudden going to start running or hitting for power. He's too He's too one-dimensional for me, and average is one of those things that can kind of. The rate stats are much tougher to rely on than the counting stats. So I think you can rely on him for a 310 plus average. It's just everything else that's not there. So it's very empty average. So I won't draft a rise.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Other guys in this round that I'm fading, Christian Javier. Like, I know people were taking him in the 4th round last year, but just because they made a mistake one year doesn't mean you should repeat it the next. Like, there's nothing in the profile that says that that Christian Javier has fixed his problems, which is command issues. Like, dude gives up homers. He's giving up homers left and right in spring, right? And and the walks have come back too. Like, I don't want to deal with Javier. Mitch Keller, like I get that he gets strikeouts. I get that he's going to pitch a lot of innings. But the damage he can do to your ratios when he's not right, and I have no reason to believe he's going to be right. I don't want to deal with Mitch Keller.
I'm not as worried about that. I think he took a legitimate step forward last year. I mean, his Sierra was 3.83, 125 whip. It's just that I don't know what the upside is there pitching for Pittsburgh, and I don't know.
Pittsburgh could be decent, actually. I think Pittsburgh.
No, I don't think so. Have you seen the rotation?
Well, offensively.
Oh,
like he doesn't need the rest of the rotation to pitch well for him to get wins. Is what
right, I understand that, but they have half a good rotation, or half a good. Sorry, not rotation, half a good lineup. But I thought you didn't even like Cabrian Hayes, so I'm surprised to hear you.
No, it's not that I dislike Cabrian Hayes, and Paul keeps framing his argument to make me look silly. Oh, I love Cabrian Hayes for what he is, but like I don't think he's necessarily like. Every year he starts to raise his launch angle in spring, and people go,
but he did it last year. Like he
didn't stay on the field. So what does it matter? Like he gets injured.
Cabrian Hayes was a legit stud in the second half last year. I played him every day in Yahoo, which is really thin, where you're only playing really good players.
We need to have a producer so they can roll what we were saying about Cabrian Hayes coming into last season, which was he was a legit stud in the second. He does it every year. He's a legit stud in the second half, but he struggles in the first half.
Every year. How long do you think his career has been?
But every year it's happened. It hasn't been long, but it's happened every year.
Like 2 years? Okay.
3 years. He's he's had like these nice little second halves, and then not like I hope I'm wrong. I've drafted Cabrian Hayes. Like I think he's fine at the price. Like I really do. Like I don't.
That's a ship I'm willing to go down on. I'm willing to go down on that ship. So
I don't think it hurts you necessarily.
No, yeah, you're right.
Like I think the floor is really, really good.
Right.
Javier had 6 Ks in 3 innings last Thursday. You just stabbed me in the heart. Steven said that. All
Christian Javier had 6 Ks in 3 innings last Thursday.
How many home runs did he give up? There's my question. His strikeouts aren't an issue for him. It's the walks and the homers. Like he's had 6 innings so far, and he's given up 2 home runs and 3 walks. Like nothing's changed. Like yes, he gets strikeouts, but he also sometimes can't find the zone, and when he does find the zone, he sometimes serves up a meatball. Like it's just
So some other fades from round 14. Another guy we've already talked about, Gavin Williams. Obviously, he's going to fall from there. Yeah. And then Justin Verlander. So I have no. I was off of him before the health issues, but now this is just more on top of it. I'm way out.
I don't have a problem. Yeah, with that. I don't. I'm not. Verlander's not a target for me. Not necessarily a fade for me, especially because he drops in drafts, but. I have no problem with.
He's got a shoulder injury. Why would you not have a problem with that?
No, I'm saying I don't have a problem with you fading him.
Oh, okay. I'm saying why wouldn't you fade him though? He's going to start on the IL. Why is he any different?
Yeah, it's not that I'm like I think he'll ultimately throw like 140 decent innings, but I just don't know when they're going to come. So I'm not drafting him. I'm fading him too, but like I'm not like overly concerned like about the shoulder issue right now.
Okay.
Because he is pitching. So, all right, let's move on to round 15.
I mean, Buehler obviously starting on the IL.
Yeah.
It's an obvious one. His teammate Max Muncy, I'm not interested in that power with that average. It's just not to mention the fact that I think he could sit a lot more this year with all of their options there. And he didn't play every day versus lefties as it is. So like he still has power versus lefties, but he hit like 160 or something like that. I just have no interest in Muncy there.
Yeah, I'm with you on Muncy. I'm with you on Bueller. The only ones I am going to add, actually, I'm going to add a few. I'll add Bo Naylor. I just worry about Cleveland bringing in a defensive catcher because Cleveland loves to start defensive catchers even when they suck offensively. And they brought back Austin Hedges, who they've done this with already. Are they going to do it? I don't know. Yeah, I hope they don't. I hope Naylor gets full playing time, but I'm just not risking it when there's other catchers going around that spot that I like. Jose Alvarado, I don't know who the closer is in Philadelphia is. So I'm not going to pay for the most expensive guy. I'll pay for who I think the cheapest guy is, which is Jeff Hoffman. It could be Alvarado, and, he could end up leading the team. I think there's a better chance there's a committee for the ninth inning in Philadelphia. Other guys I'm fading. Christopher Morel. Is Sarah still here? We're
about to find out.
I was just on her podcast and argued with her about this. Christopher Morel's contact skills are atrocious. Yes, there's a ton of power. There is speed. I think he's going to play. I think he could play himself out of a job. He's not very good defensively. Oh, there's Sarah. We already had this argument on your podcast. Go listen to Sarah's podcast, The Fantasy Feud, over on the Pitcherless Network with Sarah and my other good friend, Sally Verstrate. But I just disagree with her on Morel. The contact ability, it did get better last year, but it's still bad. And I just worry that the floor isn't there. I understand people want taking high upside gamble because I think this is a high upside gamble, but I don't like the floor, so I'm avoiding it.
Yeah, he hits the ball so hard, but 65% contact rate plus over 30% K rate. Not to mention the fact that he's a butcher at third base, so at any point they could decide that they're just over that experiment. So, and then it's where is he going to get those at bats from? So. Yeah. I agree with you there. I don't have him as like a full fade, but again, like he's a guy I would need a discount on in order to take.
Yeah. The other guy that I hate to say it because I loved him coming into drafts last year and he did make me a lot of money is James Outman. I worry that he's going to end up being a platoon guy at some point or the Dodgers just replace him. Like his underlying skills in the second half were not good. Like he had a below 80% zone contact. I know there's power speed, but I think he could be very fluky. And I don't know if the Dodgers are going to wait around for him if he has kind of some, struggles. So I think Outman is a lot riskier than maybe the ADP suggests.
Yeah, I mean he hit 252 versus lefties last year, but he only had one homer, so it's pretty much non-existent. Anytime you see a guy who's a lefty, who's not a star that that they're never going to take out of the lineup, there's always a decent sized risk that they're going to be platooned at some point. So yeah, I'm with you on that. He has speed and he has power, but again, like you said, he strikes out a lot, 32% K rate last year. He's similar to Morel in a lot of ways. Doesn't hit the ball as hard, but very, very kind of similar issues. And another guy is Jackson Holiday for me.
Okay.
I don't foresee myself taking him. He's a 20-year-old rookie who I don't know how good he's going to be in year one. And I mean, projections have him as like 11 homers, 12 steals, 250 average. It's like, okay, that's fine. It doesn't sound like he's the kind of guy who's going to come in and light the league on fire. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to take a bunch of rookies though. I'm trying to have a more boring team and just take kind of selective shots. And I don't think he's the shot I want to take.
Yeah, I'm okay with you fading him. Like I'm like he's.
Oh, thank
he's
you.
Not,
I appreciate you.
Yeah, he's not a guy that I'm like jumping for joy with. Like you said, I think if I'm taking a rookie, it's Langford.
Yep.
I think that's the. I love Jackson Holiday long term dynasty. Still my number one prospect in all of baseball, but I don't know that he's as ready as Wyatt Langford is. to make an impact. Plus, that park already saps power. I don't know if Holiday will have power at some point. I don't know if he's ready to tap into it. So I totally get that. One last thing on Outman. Like you said, wasn't bad against lefties last year. He also had a 390 BABIP against lefties last year. So I think that he may have just gotten a little bit lucky against lefties. So
Stephen Punteni said that he's an outstanding defender, so that could keep.
I'd say he's an above average defender. I don't know that he's an outstanding defender.
I have no idea.
I would disagree with that. All right. Next round, I think is 16. 16. Yeah. I don't know if there's any, but I guess Darvish, I'm kind of fading a little bit because of the injury issues last year.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like if he dropped a round or two, I probably wouldn't necessarily fade him. So
it's one of the few times that you can say he's actually going at a reasonable cost, but he did also get he had the elbow thing. It was the bodies in his elbow or whatever. That he didn't really get taken care of.
He's also like 37.
Oh yeah, I think he's 38 even. Okay. The other one who is a guy that I love in season, like every time he's actually playing, I love the guy, but he also in his career now, and he's 33 this year, he's never had 360 plate appearances ever, and that's Mitch Garver. I like him, but I can't rely on him. Like he's never touched close to 400 plate appearances in his whole career, and I know that
doesn't. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just saying, I know he's going to DH this year, but he has trouble staying healthy. I feel like he's a better target for me in like Yahoo than NFBC. And he's a power only guy. And again, like he's a guy I like, but because I feel like he's had other years where he wasn't just playing catcher too, and he still can't stay healthy.
No, I mean, I think he's mostly gotten hurt behind the plate, but I think this is actually a really good spot for Mitch Garver because he's not expensive, and two, like he could DH every day, and that could give him an opportunity to stay on field. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
He doesn't have a track record of staying healthy, so and I've never been a Mitch Garver guy. I think this is the 1 year where I'm getting shares because I just think there's an opportunity for him to stay healthy as a DH. I felt like there was one more guy that I was. Oh, okay. Actually, there's two more guys that I'm fading this round. And I may get yelled at here. I don't know if it's by the crowd or by you, but I love Ryan Pepiot. I do. What's the innings going to be like for Ryan Pepiot, though? Like, I just don't know. Like, he hasn't thrown a lot of innings at the major, he didn't throw a lot of innings last year. And I just have a really hard time projecting him to get over like 130. And now he's in Tampa Bay. I wonder if they could use him as like an opener and bring in a follower. Like if he's the follower, then I like him a lot. But I don't know. I'm a little bit worried on Pepiot's innings total, and so I'm kind of fading him now.
Yeah, I mean, Pepiot, I like that he's in Tampa now. I've heard Nick talking about how hopefully they change the location of where he's throwing his pitches. But like the talent is there. I would not say I would put him down for more than 150 innings, but I don't see any reason why he can't get there either. So I like Pepiot.
He threw 64 innings last year between AAA and the majors.
Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna add 100 innings. I don't think.
Sure. Yeah, well, especially because the year before he went 130 innings, so I think he's fine. Yeah, it's not like he's built up to 64 innings. Like, we've seen guys.
I think I put him at 130.
We've seen
which
guys,
unfortunately isn't enough for me.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I think if you're conservatively putting it down, I think 130 is fine. I'm just saying, I think he could go 150. I'm just saying I wouldn't put him down for more than that. Also, I will say, THP Knob said something that I meant to say before too. With Garver, he is in Seattle now. That park sucks for power.
Yeah,
I know that he has a lot of power, but I've heard things about like the sight lines there. It's the hitters have a lot of trouble there.
All right. The other guy that I've been fading, and I don't know if it's going to be a mistake or not, is Brian Wu. And it's mostly because he had elbow trouble, in August last year. Now I know he came back, pitched fine, in the year. Something makes me feel uneasy about that. And there are other guys going around here that I like just as much. I also worry that he really doesn't have like a second or third pitch, which I think can lead to problems. But it's a good park to pitch in, good team to pitch on. So like I don't have a problem with other people taking him. He's not a guy I land on a lot.
Okay, that's fair. I actually missed that he looked like it was forearm inflammation.
Yeah.
He was out from August 8th through August 21st. Like the thing is, that was only
he finished the year on the mound.
What was that?
Yeah, and he finished the year on the mound. So
it's not just that though. It's like so Max Fried finished the year on the mound, but he missed over 2 months. Wu missed 2 weeks. That tells me this was 2 months tells me one thing, 2 weeks tells me another. So I hear you, but it's not enough for me to fade him personally. I think there's a lot of untapped upside with Wu that I can see, especially if they have him at a splitter. I'm not sure that he will. I know they've done it with all their other pitchers, and I think they're doing it with Bryce Miller this year. They did it with Kirby and Gilbert last year. But I'm again, like you said, I think he needs that third pitch to keep lefties off of him. But he has a better shot of skyrocketing than a lot of guys. Like he has that ability if he makes an adjustment. Will he make that adjustment? I don't know.
If he adds like a legit another pitch, like yeah, I totally could see it. I don't know that I'm buying he's doing that yet. So
we'll see.
All right, I just looked at your list for the first time. I haven't been looking at your list to like see who you're going.
It's been similar for a lot of them.
Yeah, we're gonna have some arguments on this round. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Do you want to start with an argument or do you want to start with a non-argument? Which
you start with whatever you want, and I'll jump in when I'm ready to argue.
Okay. So one of the guys I have is Brandon Nimmo. Is this an argument? Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the arguments. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you take it. Go ahead. You tell me why I should be buying.
No. You say your fade, and then I'll rebut. I'll light up a cigarette while we do that.
I mean, again, this is another guy coming off of a career year. I don't think he has that kind of power that he showed last year. The runs are going to be there. He's solid average, 275 type guy. The RBI are not good considering it takes him, close to 700 plate appearances to get in the 60s for RBI. He's not the kind of guy I want to take. There's just not a ton that I love about him, but he does, he's got a good hard hit rate. He's had barrel rate increase 2 years in a row, but last year kind of looks like an outlier. So unless he changed something that I'm unaware of last year that he can bring forward to this year where he's going to keep that 25 homer power, I'm not buying it.
I mean, I don't know what's not to like. Double-digit walk rate, 275 batting average, 90 to 100 runs, 20 plus home runs. Like he is like a prototypical leadoff hitter that should be going way higher than this. Like not only am I not fading this is a value for Brandon Nimmo. Like the one issue with Brandon Nimmo has been health, and now he's got 2 straight seasons with 673 plate appearances or more. Like, give me all Brandon Nimmo. Like, I love Brandon Nimmo this year.
I mean, literally any year other than last year, what is there to be excited about? I mean, in 2022, he hit 274 with 102 runs and 16 homers, 3 steals,
102 runs. 102 runs with a good batting average late. Like that. Like, yeah, you're not getting like a ton of power, and you're getting virtually no speed, 3 stolen bases.
Yeah, if you have a very specific roster construction where you are great in power and speed and RBI, and you just need some runs with a good average, then yeah, I can see targeting him. Other than that, though, I just
two of the hardest categories to get late in drafts are runs scored and batting average, and you get that with Brandon Nimmo. Like, yes, he doesn't. But he's also not like a 0 in the other categories. Like he's not. I'm not saying he's helping you, but he's not a 0. You're getting a few stolen bases. You're getting 20 home runs. Like this is a good profile at this point in the draft.
Okay.
Next fade.
Lang. Is it Lang or Lange? Lang.
Lang. Yeah, I don't have a problem with fading Lang.
Yeah.
Like I've taken Lang as like my third closer and stuff like that. I don't feel good about it. Like he could lose that job at any point. The control is a real issue for Lang.
Yeah, the control is horrendous. And even though I mean, I don't know. They got Shelby Miller there. It doesn't really matter who else is there because, like I said, if you're not throwing strikes, they'll find someone else to use instead of you. Eovaldi, he's a guy who just cannot maintain his velocity throughout the season, constantly up and down. I'm not a believer there. Sounds like you aren't either.
No, he can't stay healthy.
Okay, so it's this last guy that you want to fight about then. Okay, so Luis Campusano, tell me why you love him.
He's a cheap guy who's got power. He's a former top prospect at the position, showed off last year. The batting stance stuff in spring has been a little weird, so I kind of have pumped the brakes on loving him to just being okay if he's my fallback option as like a C2, but like I don't have a problem with him where he's going.
Okay. I mean, he's never gotten significant run. I mean, he's 25 this year, so it's not like he came up when he was 21 for a cup of coffee. Again, 22, he wasn't up long. 23, he wasn't up long. 24 last year, he had 174 plate appearances. Like, I've never seen this guy play regularly at the major league level. Maybe they finally do that this year, but I definitely don't think they're going to give him DH spot. So I think it's just going to be how much catcher is he going to play. And I've never seen him play a ton of catcher. So I think he's okay. Like, I don't think he's for where he goes. I think it's all right, whatever, but I'm not excited about taking. I don't expect to have any Campusano this year.
Okay. I've already drafted Campusano. I think there's some upside if obviously he's not going to do what he did like over the course of a full season or anything like that.
What did you say?
Campusano. Like, I don't think he's going to do exactly like I don't think you go like, oh, just triple his plate appearances last year and that's
right
for sure what he's going to do. But like I think there's 20 plus homers in this bat potentially with a decent batting average. I think he's finally going to get full-time run.
Okay.
So yeah. Steven's saying Campusano is a career 300 hitter. He's not going to be a career 300 hitter. Like he's going to strike out at like a 26.
I mean, he's a career 300 hitter, but
it's
like
not a lot of plate appearances.
Yeah, 266 plate appearances. Wait, I'm saying 266, 274 average. So
yeah, he's a 274 career hitter. So he's not counting his little minor league or major league stints earlier on in his career.
All right.
All right. The next round, I don't even know
18.
what round we're at. 18. Go ahead. There's I think quite a few fades here.
Okay, I have two big ones, and Jose Leclerc. I straight up think David Robertson is going to start the year as the closer. So I'm very much off Leclerc. He's another guy who he can't hold on to that job. They've given it to him. They've taken it away from him. He's got control issues, and I just think that Robertson's the better pitcher, and I think that he's going to close. And then Tristan McKenzie, unfortunately, yet another Guardian pitcher that I don't think he's going to be healthy this year again.
Yeah. What Steven was talking about Campusano is including his minor league numbers.
Okay.
Leclerc, I think he'll start with a job, but I think he'll probably lose it. And I think there is a chance he doesn't start with a job. Bruce Bochy has said it's an open competition. So I think, he easily could not start with a job. So I don't have a problem with that. McKenzie, he's built like a freaking stop sign. Like I don't have any belief he can stay out in a 10-team league. Fine. Like, cause he's one of your last picks and you can drop him, but like anything deeper than that, like, I don't trust him at all.
When you say built like a stop sign, I mean he's more built like a beanpole. Like there's no sign part of it. You just mean the
he's just super. He's got the exact same body type as Paul.
Yeah,
and Paul's made this joke before, so I can make it. And I wouldn't draft Paul on my team.
Well, his nickname is Sticks for a reason.
Yeah, literally. I don't trust him to stay healthy. Other guys I'm fading. Eloy, I just don't. I mean, I know the price has dropped a lot, and so it's not a bad gamble necessarily. I just don't trust the health. And Mason Miller, I don't know what Mason Miller is going to be. Like, I don't think he's going to be the closer, and I don't think he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be like a multi-inning reliever, which I guess has value in some leagues, but not any leagues I care about.
I had him as a fade for round 19. So yeah, I
Okay.
agree with you. I agree with you on Mason Miller as well. Same reasons. And even if he does end up being a closer, I don't think he'll start with it, but he could maybe take over at some point. But people are dreaming on him being a starter. It's just not going to happen, I don't think, this year. And even if it does, he's still on Oakland. So
yeah, exactly. If he's sharing the closer role, or even, didn't the Oakland A's go like 2 months without getting a win for a single starter?
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like JP Sears, but I have a really hard time rostering JP Sears because he's on Oakland.
Right.
It's unreal. All right. Let's move on to round 19. I'll start. Kodai Senga is just a full fade. The injury to me is I'm just not going to deal with it at all. I hate to say this because this was my team's big free agent signing, but Jung-Hoo Lee, I saw some scouting reports from people in Korea on him, and the scouting reports are he is a hitter with not very much power, who doesn't run very much, and is a bad defender. Why did the Giants pay so much money for this guy? Now he's in San Francisco, which is a hard part to hit out of anyways. They don't run very much, and he's a bad defender, which is an issue for the Giants already. I think this is going to blow up in their faces, and I just absolutely hate it because
I didn't write him down, but I had very, very little interest in Lee, so I don't see myself taking him at all.
Yeah. Charlie Morton, I know the ERA was good, but the whip was atrocious last year. And I think the whip is more indicative of his skill set. At this point, I think he is I know he's pitched well in spring, but I'm not.
I don't care. Nope.
I really don't care. And then Kyle Harrison, again, just crapping on my own Giants, unfortunately. I don't think Kyle Harrison has good command.
Nope, he doesn't.
And I don't think this stuff is as overpowering as people thought it was going to be. So, I'm not drafting Kyle Harrison at all.
Yep, I had the exact same fades as you, and I had Tommy Edman too, which we discussed earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to round 20. Who you got?
Yeah, so we don't have to talk about Noelvi. That's obvious. He's going to fall here. Same with Nootbaar. He's hurt now, so he's going to fall. The three I have, one of them is one of your former boys. I'm curious to know if you still like him, but Tyler Stevenson, there's just nothing there for me.
Yeah,
no.
I want Tyler Stevenson to be good, just because I did love him in the past. But at some point, you got to prove that you can actually hit homers at the major league level. You're in Cincinnati and you can't hit home runs. That's a problem,
right? So Reed Detmer's guy who I was high on last year, hoping he would take a step forward, and it just never came together for him. He wasn't horrendous, but he really didn't go. He would rarely go 5+. I mean, he not rarely, but not enough. He would go 5 innings. And he looks kind of lost this spring again. I'm just gonna be off of him. They could start in a 6-man rotation again as well.
Which is funny because I don't think they've got 6 starters or
I don't at all. Maybe not. I don't know. I've heard that, but who knows? Because like you said, I don't even know who they're. I guess Jose Suarez maybe might be their 6th. I don't even know.
Jose Soriano might be there. But I don't care. None of them are that good. And who's your last? You said you had 3, right?
Yeah, Jeremy Pena would be the other one. I'm just not really interested in that skill set. He's probably gonna hit the bottom of the lineup. I don't know. He's not terrible or anything. But he was he stole 13 out of 22 bases. He got caught 9 times. I don't know if he's gonna keep running. Dusty's gone there now, so he was a big reason that they ran a lot. The barrel rate got cut in half. He had a really nice rookie year, and then he just really took a big step back last year, it looks like.
All right. I don't disagree with any of those. I'll add one more of my own because those are the ones I was probably going to talk about anyways. Kyle Finnegan.
Okay.
So I think Kyle Finnegan is the closer. I know everybody wants to make Hunter Harvey a thing, but Hunter Harvey cannot stay healthy.
No, he can't.
But that doesn't mean that Kyle Finnegan's good. And
right.
He still pitches in Washington, and they're going to probably try to trade him where he's not going to be a closer. This is not like a Kenley situation where I think if Kenley gets traded, he's the closer on whatever team he goes to. Kyle Finnegan gets traded, he's a setup guy or a middle reliever on whatever team he goes to. So like you're fighting for a half season of Washington saves. Screw that. I don't want that at all.
Yep. No, I'm with you. The skills are horrendous. And I'm there's a, if I am in desperation need of saves, I still don't know if I would take him.
Yeah. This is how bad Kyle Finnegan is. I did the closer preview with Jason Collette on the Sleeper and the Bust on Sunday, and I accidentally called him Brandon Finnegan. And I didn't even think about the fact that I made a mistake until I was like posting the podcast and writing the rundown into like the show notes. Yeah, I didn't even get his name right and realized I got his name wrong until like 2 hours later. So just not worth my time.
Nope.
All right. I think that is going to wrap us up. We've gone 2 hours and 20 minutes on this episode. I think that is perfect. Why don't you let everybody know where you can reach on social media, Dave, and talk about anything you're doing?
You can reach me at RunDMCD on Twitter. Add that D. And I just trying to get ready for my drafts right now. I've got 2 co-hosts on 2 podcasts who have not been available to podcast much lately. So so pretty much whenever you 2 jackasses have a free night, we do this. And other than that, not really working on anything. Well, I'm always working on something. Like right now I'm trying to fill the tag team league because we're trying to find a time to do that still. And just always busy with Earth stuff too. So, but excited for the year. Ready to go to Vegas. Well, not ready, but excited for it when we get there.
Yeah, I will try my best to make sure we record every Monday night. Next week is kind of a little up in the air because I'm coming back from New York, and you have a draft around the time, but we might just do a late recording. Yeah. If I'm still awake, I just don't know how jet lag I'm going to be. But after that, we should be able to go weekly. I don't think I have a draft 2 Mondays from now, but I'll double check. But we'll figure out time to get together every Monday moving forward. So we'll be back on a regular rotation. And I'm also planning on starting to do a Thursday episode with Ray Kuhn, hopefully starting next week as well. So that is going to wrap us up. You can reach me on Twitter at Justin Mason FW. You can reach me on all social medias, Justin Mason FWFB. Writing at Fangraphs almost every day and writing at Fantasy Pros 3 days a week. So catch all my written content over there. That will wrap us up for this episode. For Dave and myself, thank you for listening. Have a fantastic baseball draft season.
Thanks to the comments section too, guys. You guys are very active tonight.